Chapter 1874. Hearing this, Xiao Ming was stunned for a long time. After staring at Dustless for a while, she suddenly felt a breath of cold air. Only then did Xiao Ming come back to her senses. Taking a closer look, it was Wu Chan with a grave and stern face. This aggrieved expression seemed like he had suffered a great humiliation. You want to divorce me? Her eyes widened a few times. Even with Xiao Ming's indifferent personality, she still trembled as she spoke. She was truly shocked by Dustless's, "I want to divorce you. You're still so arrogant after making a mistake?" Xiao Ming's eyes were fixed on Dustless's face. Her worldview was refreshed. This bastard clearly made a mistake, but he still looked like he was framing her. Shameless to the extreme. Huff, huff, huff. Young Master Ming's career trembled in anger. Her hair-raising curves dazzled Wu Chen's eyes, and he almost couldn't help drooling. When Xiao Ming was still like a virgin, there was a kind of tranquil beauty. Even though she was angry now, there was a different kind of charm. "You're twisting words." Xiao Ming gritted her teeth and coldly retorted, "Dustless, you were the one who made a mistake first, and you still dare to say that you want to divorce me? Why wouldn't I dare?" Dustless looked back at Xiao Ming and said loudly, "I'm going to divorce you this time. Hurry up and bring me a pen and paper. I'm going to break up with you right now." You. Hearing this, Xiao Ming's pretty face darkened. Anger was rolling in the depths of her eyes. Xiao Ming had always been loyal to Dong Wang Tai's orders. Even if he asked her to die, she would do it without hesitation. Since Dong Wang Tai ordered her to marry Dustless, then Xiao Ming would definitely not refuse. "You want to divorce me? Not a chance." Xiao Ming pouted her thin lips and glanced at Dustless before leaving. "After I ask the moon god about the details, I'll come back to deal with you. If you're lying, I'll make you regret it." As soon as she finished speaking, young Arbiter Ming turned into a breeze and left. What a naive fool. The moon goddess is one of my people. Do you even need to think about what will happen to her? You will definitely lose everything. Dustless, who was extremely bored, went back to his room to sleep as he watched her leave in a huff. Needless to say, the moon god must be on Dustless's side. Naturally, she would agree to Dustless's statement that young Arbiter Ming was destined to fail. Time passed quickly, and in the blink of an eye, it was already late at night. After working hard for half the night, Dustless also felt a burst of bone-deep fatigue. His head was dizzy, and just as he fell on the bed, he fell into a deep sleep. About 4 to 6 hours later, Dustless subconsciously opened his eyes when he felt a faint movement in his body. The lights in the room were turned on again. The strangest thing was that young Master Ming was sitting beside Dustless, staring at the confused Dustless without blinking. "You're not going to kill me, are you?" After being stunned for a few seconds, Dustless rubbed his eyes and asked, "If that's the case, I advise you to stop. You should know the difference in strength between you and me." "Sorry, I was too reckless before." With an apologetic look on her beautiful face, young Master Ming said in a low voice, "I just heard the moon goddess say that she did capture you for interrogation." "I'm sorry, Zichin." Dustless's lips curled into a fleeting smile. He sighed in his heart. "Just as I predicted, this crisis is finally resolved. All right, it's fine. You can go back now. My head hurts. I'm going to sleep." After apologizing, Dustless didn't want to continue pestering her. He was in the wrong, and young Master Ming wasn't in the wrong. He should forgive and forget. "You want to divorce me, right?" Clenching the corner of her shirt, Xiao Ming asked nervously, "I have apologized, and you have forgiven me." Hearing this, for some reason, Dustless's sleepiness disappeared without a trace. Seeing young Master Ming's tense face, Dustless felt a stabbing pain in his heart. Was Dong Wang Tai's order that important to her? Dustless could tell that young Master Ming was so nervous because she was worried that he would divorce her. It wasn't that young Master Ming liked him. She was just worried that she couldn't complete the mission given by Dong Wang Tai. For the school of Yinyang, Dong Wang Tai was everything. But the cruel thing was that young Master Ming was just an insignificant chess piece in Dong Wang Tai's eyes. From the marriage between young Master Ming and the Confucian school, It could be seen that young Master Ming could be abandoned at any time. I'm fine, young Master Ming. Let's get along well in the future. You can go back first. I just have a headache. I'll be fine after some rest. Shaking his head, Dustless was about to lie down again when he noticed that his pillow was taken away. Will this make you feel better? The young Master Ming put Wu Chen's head on her legs. The soft feeling was very comfortable. Wu Chen could even smell the orchid fragrance of the young Master Ming's body. She was also very considerate as she massaged Wu Chen's temples. You, young Master Ming, there's no need for that. I've already forgiven you. I said that I would divorce you in a moment of anger. I'll take it back now. Dustless suddenly felt a little embarrassed about the hard-earned pillow. After all, he was the one who shamelessly asked for it. I was too reckless tonight. Young Master Ming said stubbornly, sleep well. This is my responsibility. I'm the one who caused your headache, so I'll take care of it. What a pity. Dustless sighed in his heart. He was already planning to kill Dong Wang Tai, that crazy brainwashing demon. Chapter 1875. Peacefully lying on Xiaoxi Ming's knees, Wu Chen curved up his mouth corners in a pleasant smile, while humming a faintly discernible song. He seemed to be enjoying himself quite a bit. It was a great gift for Dustless that Xiaoxi Ming was willing to lower herself to be his pillow. Now that he was using her slender fingers to massage his temples, Dustless would never have dared to imagine such luxurious enjoyment. How do you feel? After a few minutes, Xiaoxi Ming suddenly asked. Very good. People from a school of Yinyang are second to none in everything they do. No one can compare to them. Dustless, who was lying on Xiaoxi Ming's legs, opened his eyes. Her serious face also appeared in his eyes. Xiaoxi Ming gave off a very different feeling when she was close to him, especially when she was so tactful. Dustless was a little dazed. Xiaoxi Ming, do you know a man called Yuziki? After a moment of silence, Dustless suddenly changed the topic and said, I heard that he was captured by Yun Zhongjuan. Can you help me get him out? Yuziki? Is he your friend? Xiaoxi Ming lowered her head and looked at Dustless's satisfied smile. She said meaningfully, since he was captured by Yun Zhongjuan, it means that your friend is somewhat special. As one of the 5 great elders of the school of Yinyang, Xiaoxi Ming naturally knew what kind of person Yun Zhongjuan was. Dustless saw the intelligent expression on Xiaoxi Ming's face with his clear eyes. He also knew that it was impossible to continue hiding some things. It was completely unnecessary. Just like what Xiaoxi Ming said, if he was an ordinary person, Yun Zhongjuan would not have captured him. He's from Shu Mountain. He's the brother of a friend of mine. After thinking for a while, Dustless continued, if you're willing to help me find him, I'll owe you a favor this time. People from Shu Mountain? Hearing this, Xiaoxi Ming hesitated for a moment before replying without hesitation. I heard from Lord Xinghun that people from Shu Mountain have appeared in Shanghai recently. They're all traitors of the Empire and are no different from the Mo family. I really didn't expect you to be related to them. Dustless laughed embarrassedly and shrugged. If you want to capture me, I have nothing to say, but I won't sit still and wait for death. Loquacious, I knew you would say that. Young Master Ming rolled her eyes at Dustless and said, I can try, but I can only do my best. If Yun Zhongjuan doesn't want to hand him over, I can't do anything about it. After all, the Mirage was Yun Zhongjuan's territory, and he was the only ship owner here. Not going to hand him over. Hearing this, Dustless sneered in his heart. If he didn't want to hand him over, it meant that he was choosing to fight head-on. The biggest difference between people in this world was that some people were tactful and knew how to go with the flow. This was the golden rule of survival. However, some people chose to go against the current. They wanted to challenge the monstrous waves with the body of an ant. If this wasn't courting death, then what was? There's one more person. A graceful woman in palace attire suddenly appeared in his mind. This person was Yu Er's birth mother, concubine Yin. Let's take it slow. After thinking for a while, Dustless could only give up the idea of saving her for the time being. The huge mirage hid countless dark rooms. It was easier said than done to find a person. Moreover, he didn't know what concubine Yan's attitude towards him was. My head is much better now. You should go back and rest. young Master Ming. Pushing away young Master Ming's fingers, Dustless moved away from her knees and said with a smile, "The task of helping me get you Ziki back is yours, so you should go back and rest as well. You're pushing me away again. It seems that you haven't forgiven me yet." Young Master Ming pouted and was dissatisfied again. Hearing this, Dustless curled his lips helplessly and couldn't help but mutter, "You're so hard to please." The corners of Dustless's mouth curled up slightly. He suddenly laughed, leaned close to young Master Ming's ear, and blew a breath of hot air. "It seems that you want to stay here tonight. However, there's only one bed in this room. Do you plan to sleep with me? Something out of the ordinary? Why can't I?" Staring at Dustless's face, young Master Ming asked as if nothing had happened. Although her face was already as red as an apple, and her eyes were filled with shyness, young Master Ming still gritted her teeth and persisted with great courage. "Anyway, this day will come sooner or later." Young Master Ming comforted herself in her heart, and it was quite effective. Her abnormal breathing soon calmed down, and her beautiful eyes looked at Dustless as calm as water. Then, under the latter's surprised gaze, she gracefully crawled into Dustless's bed. That, I was just saying, you don't have to take it seriously." Dustless didn't expect young Master Ming to be so obedient. He was just trying to provoke her, and his intention was to drive her away. Who knew that the people from the school of Yinyang were indeed different? Not only were Yueshin and great Master Ming hard to understand, even the seemingly innocent young Master Ming would sometimes do something shocking. For example, right now, young Master Ming wasn't deterred. Instead, her sudden action stunned Dustless, and he suddenly felt a little embarrassed. "Are you being shy?" Seeing Dustless's uncertain expression, young Master Ming's tone became a little strange, and she said sarcastically, "It's just sleeping. Do you have to be so concerned? Moreover, this day will come sooner or later. Don't forget that you and I are going to get married in a few days." This guy, hearing this, Dustless frowned. If it was in the past, young Master Ming would definitely understand what it meant to be a man with iron blood. But now, the situation was different. Since great Master Ming helped Dustless to disguise himself, Dustless's appearance was a disguise. His current identity was still Zichun, and it wouldn't make sense for him to do it with her. Chapter 1876. But Dustless's eyes were glowing as he stared at young Master Ming's beautiful body. Sleeping together didn't mean they had to do anything inappropriate. They could communicate in other ways. For example, seeing young Master Ming crawl into his bed, Dustless didn't hold back and crawled in as well. If he continued to be a coward, young Master Ming would definitely look down on him and even despise him. "You, don't touch my leg." Noticing Dustless's strange movements, young Master Ming snorted and complained. Her cheeks were red, and she wanted to scold Dustless. However, a special electric current flowed through her body, and she ended up moaning like a spoiled child. Oh, sorry, my hand slipped." Dustless smirked and completely ignored young Master Ming's feelings. "That's my left leg, don't touch it. That's my chest. Don't touch me." Dustless was originally very tired, but after young Master Ming's tantrum, he didn't feel sleepy at all. The two spent the whole night in the warm bed and talked about the future. The scene was quite harmonious. They only fell asleep at dawn, and when they woke up again, it was already afternoon. "Geez, my head is even dizzy." Dustless opened his eyes in a daze. He suddenly felt that his right arm was a little numb. Just as he was about to rub it, he suddenly stopped. This guy really knows how to enjoy himself. Looking at young Master Ming, Dustless didn't know whether to laugh or cry. She was sleeping peacefully on Dustless's right arm, and there was a faint smile on her peaceful face. She looked quite satisfied. Now that he thought about it, young Master Si Ming's life was very monotonous in the past. Other than cultivating, she probably did nothing else. She was just like a machine. Now that she had Wu Chun, an experienced player, to accompany her, her life was more interesting than before. Dustless didn't do much to the arbiter of fate last night. They just had some fun, and it wasn't too bad. At the very least, it was much happier than when he was studying in the Confucian school. "Let's sleep a little longer." Dustless pulled Xiaoxi Ming into his embrace with his right arm. He narrowed his eyes again. His pair of small hands couldn't help but become restless again. He pinched left and right, skillfully and vigorously on Xiaoxi Ming's body. You don't have any self-awareness at all. You actually pretended to sleep with me. I'll make you regret it. Dustless snickered in his heart, and the kung fu in his hands became even more intense. Noticing the change in young Master Ming's expression, even though she hid it very well, the corner of her mouth and eyelashes moved slightly without leaving a trace. Dustless's sharp eyes caught everything. Since young Master Siming liked acting, then Dustless would accompany her to the end. After all, he wasn't the one at a disadvantage. Still not up? Xing Han looked at the servant in front of him with extreme dissatisfaction. He was secretly furious. Just now, he had sent someone to inform young Master Ming that she was going to Mulberry Sea City to carry out a mission to search for the Mo family's traitors. In the end, Xing Han was stunned that young Master Ming was actually lazing in bed. Xing Han wouldn't believe such a thing even if he was beaten to death. Lord Xing Han, please calm down. Yin Zhongjuan looked at the angry Xing Han and comforted him. Lord Xing Han, young people are like this. Everything depends on their mood. Why bother arguing with them? You're just lowering yourself. That's reasonable. Arguing with that fellow is too much for him. Xing Han retracted his anger and regained his calm. He said gloomily, I keep feeling that Zichen is strange. The person who brought him into the Confucian school is undoubtedly Zhang Liang, but I've investigated his background and identity. It's all a blank. It's as if he appeared out of thin air. That's right. Yin Zhongjuan stroked his beard and whispered into Xing Han's ear. Lord Xing Han, did you not find anything else suspicious? What else is there? Xing Han frowned and asked doubtfully, Are you talking about Zichen's martial arts? He doesn't seem to be taught by the Confucian school. That's just one of the reasons. Yin Zhongjuan shook his head and explained, To be honest, I heard that Zichen is inextricably linked to the moon goddess and has an unusual relationship with Great Sea Ming. Someone once saw Great Sea Ming and Zichen having a secret rendezvous in Mulberry Sea. Moon goddess and Great Sea Ming? It was as if Xing Han's inner demon had been triggered. He immediately pricked up his ears. Tell me the details. About hearing this, Yin Zhongjuan told him the information he heard a few days ago in detail. His expression was indescribably strange. You're saying that Great Sea Ming and Zichen are suspected of having an affair? After a while, Xing Han, who had heard the whole story, also had a strange expression. He couldn't help but let his imagination run wild. He hurriedly asked, Are you sure about this? It's best if you have actual evidence. I don't have that. Yin Zhongjuan had a helpless expression. In fact, when his subordinates were buying medicine, they happened to see Dustless and Great Sea Ming coming out of the inn. As for what happened, no one knew the details. Forget it. Even if there's no evidence, I can still take the opportunity to get rid of Great Sea Ming. Also, Zichen, why does he look so suspicious? When Lord Dongwang mentioned about the marriage alliance with the Confucian school, I strongly opposed it. But, anyway, I heard that the kid is going to meet Lord Dongwang today. I can take the opportunity to get rid of Great Sea Ming and Zichen. Xing Han's eyes flashed coldly. Ever since he used Great Sea Ming as a meat shield, their relationship had almost broken down. Even though Great Sea Ming still called him Lord Xing Han, they were still not on good terms. He could take the opportunity to meet Dongwang Tai to expose Dustless and Great Sea Ming and get rid of them. Chapter 1877. Originally, Xing Han was extremely unhappy with the two of them. He had always wanted to attack them, but did not have a suitable excuse. This time, Yin Zhongjuan provided a good reason. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. How could Xing Han, who had been thinking of taking revenge on Dustless and Great Sea Ming, let go of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity? Speaking of which, I also want to see who Zichen of the Confucian school is. Your Excellency East Emperor actually wants to meet him personally. I have never heard of such a thing before. Yin Zhongjuan's tone was filled with anticipation. He wanted to see Dustless's face. Maybe you will be disappointed after you see him. Xing Hun looked at Yun Zhongjuan with dissatisfaction. Then, he flicked his sleeves and left angrily. If possible, Xing Hun hoped to have a big fight with Dustless to defeat him and show him what a real genius was. Is this still the Lord Xing Hun who has a big belly? Seeing this, Yun Zhongjuan was truly speechless. He was quite depressed. In the past, Xing Hun wasn't so petty. He was extremely magnanimous. Now, he seemed to have changed into a different person. He was extremely petty, especially when he mentioned Wu Chun. His face turned gloomy. On the other side, when Dustless woke up again, the sun had already set. Dustless and Young Si Ming climbed out of the warm blankets. Their faces were still filled with unconcealable laziness, especially Young Si Ming, who was the strangest. Her face was flushed and her temperament was completely different from before. She even had a hint of seductiveness. The coexistence of purity and seductiveness, the fusion of ice and fire. She's like a fairy sent by the heavens. Looking at the clothed young Master Ming, Wu Chun was moved. Occasionally, he could see her white skin through her careless movements. It stretched as far as the eye could see, reaching the deepest part of her body. Dustless, who was distracted, could not help but let his imagination run wild. He could not help but let out a strange laughter. The sudden laughter made young Master Ming shiver. Her beautiful eyes blinked a few times, and when she turned around and saw Dustless giggling at her, young Master Ming angrily threw a pillow at him. Hurry up and get up. It's already evening. His Excellency Dong Wang said that he would only be free in the morning. There was a hint of regret and self-blame in young Master Ming's voice. She had lost track of time when she was with Dustless. Before she knew it, it was already evening. If it weren't for the servant's reminder, she might still be sleeping, playing. What are you afraid of? Do you think the Eastern Emperor Tai will punish us? I'm a disciple of the Confucian school, and the third master at that. He doesn't have the qualifications to criticize me. Dustless's seemingly lazy tone carried a trace of arrogance. It's just East Emperor Tai. I've already given him enough face by taking the initiative to meet him. Dustless murmured to himself, ignoring young Master Ming, whose pretty face had darkened. Shut up. Young Master Ming glared fiercely at Dustless, then looked around. After making sure that no one was around, she knelt down beside Dustless and said seriously, in the school of Yin-Yang, His Excellency Dong Wang is a godlike existence. A godlike existence? That means he's not a god. But why don't I see you being so respectful when you see me a god? Why is there such a huge difference between people? Dustless's tone carried a trace of resentment. It seemed that he was extremely unhappy with young Master Ming's attitude. Oh, you're quite arrogant, aren't you? At this moment, a cold laugh filled with hostility suddenly came from outside the door. Ka. Immediately after, the tightly shut sliding door was suddenly restrained by some kind of force and split open. A young man with an evil aura all over his body walked in. Shorty, who let you in without anyone's permission? Dustless stared at this person with a trace of annoyance in his eyes. There was also a hint of mockery and playfulness. This person was the left guardian of the school of Yin-Yang, Xing Hun. Shorty? Hearing this, Xing Hun was stunned for a moment. He instinctively turned around and saw that he was alone. Where was the Shorty that Dustless had mentioned? Could it be, you bastard? A sinister look flashed across Xing Hun's eyes. He was enraged and reprimanded. The Shorty that you're talking about. Don't tell me it's me? Xing Hun purposely emphasized the word protector in an attempt to make Dustless understand the difference in status between them. Ha ha! Hearing this, Dustless only laughed indifferently. Naturally, he could hear the underlying meaning in Xing Hun's words. He said disdainfully, "Silly boy, you didn't hear wrongly. The Shorty that I'm talking about is you. How dare you?" Xing Hun was enraged. A purple air blade immediately shot out from between his hands. Lord Xing Hun, please remember that Zichen was invited here by His Excellency, the Eastern Emperor. Seeing that Xing Hun was about to take advantage of this opportunity to make things difficult for him, young Master Ming instantly transformed into a light breeze and stood in front of Dustless like a wall. Her cold and indifferent expression had returned to its usual aloof self. "Get out of my way, young Master Ming. You know my character. Anyone who stands in my way will die." Xing Hun's face was distorted as he shouted angrily, "I hate it when people call me Shorty." Even if he was really short, there was no need to say it out loud. It would hurt his pride. Shorty, Shorty, Shorty. Hearing that Xing Hun hated it when people called him Shorty, Dustless immediately went overboard and repeated the word Shorty, like a repeater. Xing Hun finally lost his temper. He was one of the protectors of the school of Yin-Yang after all. Being called a Shorty was a blatant slap to his face. Chapter 1878. Young Master Ming turned her head and stared at Dustless. Her beautiful eyes glowed. She couldn't help but admire Dustless's fearless spirit. He knew what Xing Hun hated the most, but he still dared to attack him. He must be tired of living to force Xing Hun to attack. "Young Master Ming, get out of my way!" Xing Hun roared furiously. Due to his extreme anger, his eyes were bloodshot. "This is impossible. Zichen is swoosh, swoosh, swoosh." Before young Master Ming could finish her sentence, the purple air blade swept towards her from the side. Even young Master Ming was within the attack range. This brat, he's so young, but his heart is so vicious. Is he planning to kill young Master Ming as well? Wu Chun could not help but admire Xing Hun's viciousness when he sensed the chi blade that was a few meters long sweeping towards him from the left. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. His right hand shook slightly, and a large amount of light flashed. High-density photons were compressed, and a divine sword that could cut through metal like mud appeared. Heavenly Sword of Gathering Clouds. Aiming at the fatal airblade, Dustless smirked and dashed in front of young Master Ming. "Don't embarrass yourself with such a small trick. This kind of weak airblade can only be used to slaughter pigs." Dustless sneered. He raised the Heavenly Sword of Gathering Clouds in his hand and mocked, "I know a good chef. He specializes in providing food for our Confucian school. If I recommend you to slaughter pigs for him, you will definitely be a VIP. Pig slaughtering king, Xing Hun." Hearing this, young Master Ming couldn't help but laugh. She rolled her eyes at Dustless. "Disappear." Dustless raised the Heavenly Sword of Gathering Clouds up high. He aimed at the incoming airblade and slashed it down without hesitation. Crack, crack. The seemingly ferocious chi blade collapsed in an instant. The powerful force directly crushed it into pieces like a mirror. This bastard!" Xing Hun was furious. His arm was numb from the impact, and his pale face was filled with malevolence. He clenched his fists so tightly that his 5 fingers were seeping into his palms, causing blood to drip out. Dustless actually wanted him to slaughter a pig. This was simply unforgivable. He even said something about the pig slaughtering king, Astral Soul. How preposterous. This was a chi blade used to kill people, not to slaughter pigs. "You will pay for your arrogance." Xing Hun stared eerily at Dustless. There was a hint of morbid madness in his words. His eyes were so frightening that they looked as if they were about to pop out. "If you could make me pay a heavy price, then you wouldn't need to use your mouth. Speak with your strength." Dustless hooked his finger and taunted. With a low growl, a thick purple chi blade appeared between Xing Hun's hands once again. This time, it was even more ferocious than before. Even young Master Ming, who was standing behind Dustless, was sweating profusely. "Lord Xing Hun wants to use. Don't call him Lord Xing Hun. Call him Little Retard." Dustless turned his head and looked at young Master Ming sternly. He reminded her, "If you call him Lord, then I, who is about to marry you, will be in trouble as well. Don't call him Lord. Call him Little Retard. Go to hell." The scale and momentum of the chi blade, as well as the sharpness of the chi blade, swept towards Dustless from both sides. It was as terrifying as a guillotine. If he was hit, he would definitely be chopped into pieces. Childish. Seeing this, Dustless let out a breath of cold air. Just as he was about to attack, he suddenly felt young Master Ming tugging at the corner of his clothes. "Were you feeling unwell?" Dustless asked suspiciously when he saw young Master Ming's pale face. I'm fine. Be careful. Young Master Ming forced a smile. Her beautiful face squeezed out a sad but beautiful smile. Looking at Xing Hun's twisted face, her face lost all color. This sharp chi blade was not only going to kill Dustless, it was going to kill her as well. Young Master Ming's heart turned cold at the thought of it. After all, she had worked with Xing Hun for many years. This fellow did not even blink when he killed his own people. Zichen, looking at the man in front of her, young Master Ming felt a warm current in her heart. The one who had stepped forward now was her old enemy, not Xing Hun. Lord Xing Hun, if the two of them are killed, even if His Majesty Dong Wang trusts you, your end will be very miserable. At this moment, an ethereal and magnetic voice suddenly sounded. It was as if it was filled with magic. Xing Hun's invincible attack immediately stopped. Everyone looked at the source of the voice, and two graceful figures came into view. So it's Lord Moon Goddess and Great Sea Ming. Xing Hun retracted the evil look on his face and said with a fake smile, I didn't expect Lord Moon Goddess to be so bored to come to such a place. Don't you need to help Ji Ruqian Long research the illusory sound treasure box? Lord Xing Hun, you don't have to worry about this. Moon Goddess responded to Xing Hun indifferently. Then, she looked at Dustless and young Master Ming and said, His Majesty Dong Wang has been waiting for you for a long time. Is that so? Then I'll take my leave. Dustless stretched and looked at Xing Hun mockingly. Then, he left with young Master Ming. Brat, consider yourself lucky this time. If Moon Goddess had not come out to put out the fire, you would have been thrown into the sea to feed the fish. Xing Hun snorted coldly when he saw Dustless's smug face. I think Lord Xing Hun has misunderstood something. Moon Goddess glanced at the arrogant Xing Hun, and a trace of contempt appeared on her pretty face. I'm not here to help Zichen and young Master Ming out of their predicament. Then who is it for? Xing Hun asked in surprise. It seemed that there was no one else other than himself. Of course it's for you, Lord Xing Hun. If I had not appeared here, you would have been cut into pieces by Dustless. Chapter 1879. Hearing this, Xing Hun's expression changed drastically. The anger that he had been suppressing once again swept out like a storm. Ka. Large amounts of true qi leaked out in all directions. Even the rooms on both sides had cracks visible to the naked eye. With that ka sound, they shook as if they could collapse at any time. Even you are looking down on me? You actually think that I am not his match? Xing Hun was enraged. Being looked down upon by his sworn enemy was a huge blow to his heart. Give me a reasonable explanation, Moon Goddess. Xing Hun clenched his fists tightly. If not for the fact that Dong Wang Tai was about to gather all of them, Xing Hun would not have minded staying behind to fight with Moon Goddess. Lord Xing Hun, what I said is the absolute truth. Facing Xing Hun's terrifying aura, Moon Goddess did not move. A mysterious power exploded from her body, protecting her unscathed. She was not affected by Xing Hun's aura at all. Truth? What a joke. Hearing this, Xing Hun's lips curled into a smile. He laughed disdainfully. What is truth? Seeing it with your own eyes is the truth. The victor had not been decided just now, but you said that I am not as good as Zichen. Lord Moon Goddess, are the rumors true? Are you really having an affair with Zichen? Why are you so biased toward him? Moon Goddess's calm face lit up. Then, she glanced at Xing Hun apprehensively. The murderous aura that had already spread out disappeared without a trace. Moon Goddess was not dustless and did not have the ability to suppress Xing Hun. If the two of them fought, one was the left guardian while the other was the right guardian. Both sides would probably be injured in the end. You have already lost to him once. After saying that, the moon god disappeared without a trace. I have already lost to him. Hearing this, Xing Hun's thoughts turned back and realized that Zichen was not in his mind. Nonsense. I have already lost to Dustless once. As for this Zichen, it was the first time I saw him at the Little Saint's Manor. Xing Hun's voice contained a great amount of power. Even though the moon deity had already disappeared, his voice still reached her ears. That's why that guy thinks you're childish. Maybe you'll become a butcher who slaughters pigs. That kind of profession really suits you. Anyway, you don't have to use your brain. The moon goddess smiled and shook her head. The so-called Z-Chun was actually dustless. However, other than the moon goddess and Great Sea Ming, no one else in the school of Yin knew about this. On the way, he followed young Master Ming and brought Dustless to a special room. Creak. The ancient and heavy door was gently pushed open, and a wave of aura that belonged to the wilderness greeted him. The scene that entered his eyes caused Dustless to be stunned on the spot. Above his head, the sky was dotted with starlight, shining brightly and flashing incessantly. The floor beneath his feet was the same. The dark blue floor emitted a special light that would never be extinguished. Looking at this beautiful scene, Wu Chun was stunned for a moment. Is that the Eastern Emperor Tai? Fixing his gaze on the black figure furthest away, Dustless subconsciously squinted his eyes, which were as sharp as knives. This person was dressed in a black robe and had a black mask on his face. His entire body was strange and mysterious, and his aura was extremely powerful. Even though he was just standing there calmly, the entire world seemed to be under his control. Yo! With a friendly smile, Dustless raised his hand to greet him. You! Young Master Ming's eyes widened. Dustless's attitude was extremely disrespectful to the Eastern Emperor Tai. Normally, in the school of Yin Yang, who would dare to talk nonsense with the Eastern Emperor Tai like this? You're very special. A charming voice came from under the mask of the Eastern Emperor Tai. Special. Hearing this, Dustless was intrigued. He was indeed special in all aspects. However, even so, Dustless still wanted to hear the unique views of the Eastern Emperor Tai. Although this guy liked to put on airs, it was undeniable that the Eastern Emperor Tai had the ability to put on airs, especially in the field of astrology. Before that, I have something to tell all of you. A troublemaker's voice was heard. For figures slowly walked in from the door that Dustless and young Master Ming had just entered. Xing Hun and Yueshan were in the lead, followed by Yun Zhongjuan and Great Sea Ming. This guy is really persistent. Is he here to cause trouble again? Wu Chun stared at Xing Hun's gloating face and knew that nothing good would come out of this fellow's filthy mouth. He was most likely here to find fault with them. Xing Hun, what's the matter? Dongwang Tai's indifferent tone had a rare hint of dissatisfaction. He seemed to hate Xing Hun for interrupting his conversation with Dustless. He was so rude. Hearing the tone of the Eastern Emperor Tai, Xing Hun and Yun Zhongjuan's expressions changed unnaturally. Xing Hun was the most envious as he looked at Dustless with jealousy. What ability does this fellow have to gain the recognition of Your Excellency Dongwang? Xing Hun was burning with jealousy. His stomach was filled with bitterness and jealousy. The Eastern Emperor Tai was a godlike existence in the Yin school. Your Majesty Dongwang, you may not know this, but a few days ago, a few of my subordinates bumped into Great Sea Ming and Zichen coincidentally. The two of them were extremely close and even walked out of the same inn as if they were partners. Xing Hun looked at Great Sea Ming and Dustless eerily. I suspect that the two of them are secretly plotting against the Yin school. They should be arrested immediately, and let me use the mind-reading technique to investigate thoroughly. Chapter 1880. Xing Hun's words were like a tornado, causing everyone to be dumbfounded. They all stared blankly at Wu Chun and Great Sea Ming, especially Yun Zhongjuan, who stared at Xing Hun in disbelief. He's too rash. Xing Hun keeps saying that others are immature, but he's just so himself. Damn it, I hope he doesn't drag me into this. Yun Zhongjuan complained incessantly. He looked at Xing Hun and Dustless. He could not afford to offend these two, especially Xing Hun, who was so rash. Yun Zhongjuan felt like he was implicated. He was so unlucky. Xing Hun, Dongwang Tai stared at Xing Hun. He was completely different from his usual calm self. Now, he was anxious, and his Dao heart was in a mess. Do the two of you know your crimes? Xing Hun's eyes swept over Wu Chun and Great Sea Ming, and a sinister smile appeared on his face. Lord Dongwang, I suggest that we immediately... Your suggestion? Who do you think you are? Dustless's sudden words made Xing Hun's face turn red. He shouted angrily, Zichun from the Confucian school, remember this. This is the Yin school, and I am the left guardian. You have no right to speak. Just listen to me obediently. Ayaya, this kid is so fierce. Dustless ignored Xing Hun. So what if Xing Hun was the left guardian? He was still a kid. As the saying goes, to catch a thief, take the stolen goods. You can't just rely on your side of the story. Do you have any evidence to prove that I colluded with Great Seeming? Dustless stared at Xing Hun, who looked embarrassed, and continued to mock him. If you don't, then you're framing me. That's right. Do you have any evidence? Dong Wang Tai, Young Si Ming, Great Si Ming, Yue Shun, and Yun Zhongjuan all looked at Xing Hun. Xing Hun's face twitched. Evidence? There was no evidence at all. Xing Hun never needed evidence to do anything. After capturing the enemy, he could use his mind-reading technique to look into their minds. Why would he need something as troublesome as evidence? It was completely unnecessary. Silence means there is no more. About 10 seconds later, Xing Hun stood there with an ugly expression on his face. Dustless scolded him angrily. You're so young, yet you don't learn good things. Instead, you're learning how to cheat, and steal. You deserve a beating. You bastard, watch your tone. Hearing this, Xing Hun's face turned green. He resisted the urge to vomit blood as his body trembled in anger. Dustless's words made it seem as if he was his son and deserved to be beaten. This fellow was too mean and infuriating. Besides, who said that I don't have evidence? I heard about this from Yun Zhongjuan. At this critical moment, Xing Hun glanced at Yun Zhongjuan and decisively betrayed him. That bastard Xing Hun. Yun Zhongjuan had a constipated expression on his face. He glared fiercely at Xing Hun from the corner of his eye as he cursed in his heart. This fellow is indeed the type to betray others. After getting the information from me, he immediately turned his back on me. Yun Zhongjuan, give me an explanation. Dong Wang Tai looked at Yun Zhongjuan. The latter immediately broke out in a cold sweat. He lowered his head to look at the sinister Dong Wang Tai before subconsciously looking at Dustless. Yun Zhongjuan suddenly realized that he was being targeted by two hungry wolves. His life could be taken at any time. This was all because of Xing Hun. Phew. Yun Zhongjuan took a few deep breaths. Now that things had come to this, he could only bite the bullet and say, Lord Dong Wang, I heard this from a few of my subordinates. Zichun and Great Si Ming came out from an inn and had a very intimate conversation. So what? Before Yun Zhongjuan could continue his nonsense, Great Si Ming retorted first. Yun Zhongjuan, you're deliberately targeting me with your words. Everyone knows that Lord Xing Hun and Yun Zhongjuan are very close. Are you implying that the two of you are homosexual? Upon hearing this, Xing Hun and Yun Zhongjuan both vomited blood. 100,000 alpacas' army ran through their minds. They glared at Great Si Ming furiously and shouted at the same time, Great Si Ming, don't talk nonsense. Otherwise, don't blame me for falling out with you. What did he mean by homosexual? He was actually homosexual. I didn't expect Great Si Ming to be so eloquent. If this continues, I'm afraid I don't need to interrupt. Great Si Ming alone can make Xing Hun and Yun Zhongjuan speechless. Dustless laughed in his heart. The phrase homosexual made Dustless secretly admire Great Si Ming. To tell you the truth, everyone, there's a reason why Zichun and I met at the inn. The quick-witted Great Si Ming looked at Xing Hun and Yun Zhongjuan and continued. Although Zichun is a member of the Confucian school, he has a good impression of the school of Yinyang. He met me privately because Zichun wants to join the school of Yinyang and pledge his loyalty. Join the school of Yinyang and pledge his loyalty. Upon hearing this, Yun Zhongjuan and Xing Hun's faces darkened. They were so angry that they laughed and cursed Great Si Ming in their hearts. If he really liked the school of Yinyang, why would the little sage Zhuang embarrass the school of Yinyang? This lousy excuse was too lousy. Zichun, is that so? Dong Wang Tai was intrigued. He asked expectantly, do you really like the school of Yinyang? Of course. If you don't believe me, I can bring her along. After sneaking a glance at Great Si Ming, Dustless promised Dong Wang Tai, "If you don't believe me, I can marry Great Si Ming as well to show my loyalty. She can be in charge of monitoring me." Very good. Upon hearing this, Dong Wang Tai nodded and reluctantly accepted Great Si Ming's words. If Dustless hated the school of Yin Yang, he wouldn't have brought a wolf into the house and married Great Si Ming. Then, Dong Wang Tai looked at Xing Hun and Yun Zhongjuan unhappily. His tone was filled with undisguised blame. "How can you be so rash? You two have embarrassed the school of Yin Yang." Chapter 1881. Upon hearing Dong Wang Tai's reprimand, Yun Zhongjuan and Xing Hun felt extremely miserable, especially Yun Zhongjuan. He was clearly implicated by Xing Hun. If Xing Hun had not dragged him down with him, Yun Zhongjuan would have chosen to watch silently. The moon goddess, the great Si Ming, and the young Si Ming are all standing on Zichen's side. How can we win against them? Yun Zhongjuan looked at Xing Hun resentfully and lowered his head in anger, pushing all the blame to Xing Hun. If it wasn't for this fellow's recklessness, he wouldn't have been scolded as well. But Lord Dong Wang, Xing Hun sorted out his thoughts and continued, "We can't possibly clear ourselves of suspicion just because of Zichen's words. This fellow is full of mysteries. Although he is a Confucian disciple, his way of doing things, the moves he uses, and his personality are completely different from a Confucian disciple. Moreover, he was secretly brought into the Confucian school by Zhang Liang and Zhang Zifang." When mentioning Zhang Liang, Xing Hun deliberately emphasized the word Zhang Liang. His eyes flickered with an inexplicable light. What an ignorant person. Without waiting for others to speak, Dustless took the lead to fire at Xing Hun. "This can only mean that Zhang Liang thinks that I have a bright future. Zhang Liang is tempted and thinks that I can bring the Confucian school to greater heights. It's such a simple matter." "Simple matter?" Yun Zhongjuan's lips trembled as he said seriously, "Sir, do you think that this is a trivial matter? However, the Yin Yang school must treat it seriously. A small hole can destroy a 1,000-mile dike. Often, a careless crack can become a fatal wound if ignored for a long time. Yin Zhongjuan is right. If you feel that you have a clear conscience and want to prove your innocence, let me use mind reading nonsense." However, Dustless was not to be trifled with. He directly interrupted Xing Hun's speech. "This damn bastard. I can't let him off so easily." Xing Hun's expression was firm, but his heart was like a volcano erupting. He could not remember how many times he had been interrupted by Dustless. This guy was too despicable. "Since you like to use mind reading on others so much, why don't I use it on you first?" Dustless asked with a smile. "That's only fair. You can read minds?" Everyone from a school of Yin Yang was flabbergasted as they stared at Dustless. "It's different from mind reading, but the meaning is the same. I can see the other party's memories." Dustless replied frankly. Then, he looked at Xing Hun and Yun Zhongjuan and asked, "Which one of you will go first?" When they heard this, Yun Zhongjuan and Xing Hun looked at each other and took a step back in unison. Everyone had their biggest secret. If Dustless found out, what would happen? "Yin Zhongjuan, I haven't been feeling well recently. I'll let you handle this matter first." Xing Hun glanced at Yun Zhongjuan and spoke in a commanding tone. "This damned bastard." Yun Zhongjuan almost slapped him when he heard that. "You're the one who caused this trouble, and now you want me to take the blame for you? What a joke." "This matter arose because of Lord Xing Han. It has nothing to do with me." Yin Zhongjuan shook his head and rejected decisively. "Xing Han was the one who caused this trouble. Why should he take Xing Hun's place and let him see his memories? There's no harm in giving it a try. If the heavens protect you, you'll be safe. If you're lucky, you'll at most become an idiot. If you're unlucky, you'll end up dead." Dustless gave them a look that said, "Don't worry." It would have been better if Dustless hadn't said anything. Now that he said it, Xing Hun and Yun Zhongjuan cowered even more. "What if you slip up? What if the two of us become idiots?" Xing Hun questioned eerily. He shook his head in his heart. If Dustless deliberately turned them into idiots, they wouldn't even have a place to cry. "Enough. This matter ends here today. Dong Wang Tai's sullen voice exploded in Xing Hun and Yun Zhongjuan's ears. The two of them immediately lowered their heads in shame like obedient children. Xing Hun, you've stirred up trouble for no reason. The position of the left guardian of the Yinyang family is no longer suitable for you. Dong Wang Tai's sudden words made Xing Hun's head feel stuffy. Not only that, but the others were also caught off guard. Even if Xing Hun had really made a mistake, he wouldn't have been stripped of his position as guardian, let alone an ordinary quarrel. Well, Dongwang Pavilion, Xing Hun opened his mouth, but Dong Wang Tai didn't give him a chance. He cut off Xing Hun's future with one sentence. Zichen, you'll be in charge of this position in the future. Dong Wang Tai's tone was faint, but contained a great deal of determination. It seemed like he wasn't just saying it casually. No problem. Just leave it to me. Dustless chuckled and immediately patted his chest. Although he wasn't interested in the position of guardian, he immediately accepted it when he saw Xing Hun's black face. It wasn't a bad idea to annoy this fellow. Fortunately, you didn't get too involved. When Yun Zhongjuan saw this, he looked pitifully at the dazed Xing Hun. This fellow had dug his own grave. In the end, he was slapped a few times by Dustless and lost all his face. What was even more tragic was that even the position of the left guardian of the Yinyang family had been stripped by Dong Wang Tai. The funniest thing was that the position of guardian had fallen into the hands of Xing Hun's archenemy. Cough, cough, cough. When he saw that everyone was still in a daze, Dustless deliberately coughed twice. Under everyone's puzzled gaze, he walked towards the petrified Xing Hun with his hands behind his back. Fellow, are you here to show off? Xing Hun roared in a hoarse voice as he resisted the urge to tear Dustless into pieces. I'm here to annoy you. Dustless smiled and nodded. Then he circled around Xing Hun and ordered, Xing Hun, hurry up and greet the left guardian. Chapter 1882. When he heard Dustless's words, Xing Hun could no longer maintain his composure. His face instantly twisted like an evil spirit, and his hands involuntarily emitted a purple demonic light. A divine air blade that could cut through metal like mud instantly shot out. Brat, do you know that there's a saying that goes, the higher you stand, the harder you fall? Put away that annoying smile of yours. Xing Hun gritted his teeth and roared. His hissing voice was like a venomous snake spitting out its tongue, sending chills down one's spine. The light from the air blade in his hands became increasingly intense and filled with a frightening destructive power. It was not difficult to see that if not for Dong Wang Tai's presence, Xing Hun would have attacked long ago. Dustless was simply too arrogant and did not take him seriously at all. Of course I know. Dustless nodded in agreement. He looked at Xing Hun with a mocking smile. It's good that you know. Xing Hun grunted and retracted his gaze. His thoughts churned, and just as he was about to open his mouth and teach Dustless a lesson, the latter's words almost caused him to explode. Aren't you a living example, former guardian? Lord Xing Hun, the higher you stand, the harder you fall. You should have a deep understanding of this saying, right? Xing Hun's cheeky words caused his old face to turn red with anger, as if he had been roasted. Zichen, you are playing with fire? You have only won one round temporarily, and there is still a long way to go in the future. Don't be too complacent. Xing Hun warned in a low voice. Otherwise, if you lose too badly in the future, you will not be able to face anyone. You don't have to worry about that. Dustless turned a deaf ear to Xing Hun's words. They went in one ear and out the other. He was just a guardian, and he had only accepted it because he wanted to annoy Xing Hun. Otherwise, even if Dong Wang Tai gave him the position of the head of the Yinyang school, Dustless would not care. Cut the crap. Hurry up and greet Lord Protector Zichen. Dustless leaned close to Xing Hun's ear and said in a voice as soft as a mosquito, now that you've been stripped of your position as a guardian, you're just an ordinary disciple of the school of Yinyang. I'm a guardian. You. Hearing this, Xing Hun was so angry that he felt dizzy and his entire body trembled. If you don't shout, I can expel you from the school of Yinyang. If you don't believe me, you could try. Dustless's expression was one of utter disdain. His words were laced with a thick threat as he taunted. At that time, you'll be a stray dog. You win. Hearing this, Xing Hun hesitated for a while before finally compromising. He bowed slightly. Greetings to Guardian Zichen. When he said this, Xing Hun's heart was bleeding. This was his position, and now it had been snatched away by his mortal enemy. Furthermore, he had to call him Lord Protector. Xing Hun was about to explode from anger. Not bad. Dustless patted Xing Hun's head and gave a gratified smile. You're worth teaching. Not bad. Not bad. When the other members of the school of Yinyang saw this scene, they smiled but did not say anything. Whether it was young Master Ming, great Master Ming, or the cold Yueshin, they were all on Dustless's side. Especially Yueshin. He and Xing Hun appeared to be on the same page, but were actually at odds with each other. There had been countless open and covert conflicts between them. Now that Xing Hun had been stripped of his position as a guardian, what was he going to do in the future? The only person who felt that the situation had changed was Yun Zhongjuan. After all, he had been allies with Xing Hun previously and had discussed how to deal with Yueshin and Dustless in secret. Now, in the blink of an eye, this usually awe-inspiring guardian had been stripped of his position. All right, all of you can leave now. I have something to say to Zichen. Dongwang Tai ordered them to leave indifferently. His cold tone made it seem as if nothing had happened. Xing Hun felt a chill in his heart. He had sacrificed his life for the school of Yinyang, but this fellow was so heartless in the end. Xing Hun's resentment towards Dongwang Tai grew. Now that the biggest boss of the school of Yinyang had spoken, Yueshin and the other members of the school of Yinyang took their leave. Only Dustless and Dongwang Tai were left. The atmosphere turned cold. I observe the stars at night. Ever since you appeared, the movements of the stars have undergone a huge change. Dongwang Tai's indifferent tone revealed a hint of shock. Small changes could be made, but the general trend could not be changed. This iron-like rule had actually changed when it came to Dustless. This was also one of the reasons why Dongwang Tai valued Dustless and chose to form an alliance with young Master Ming and the school of Confucianism through marriage. The strangest thing was that Dongwang Tai was shocked to discover that he had previously comprehended the news of the imminent demise of the school of Confucianism from the movements of the stars. However, the movements of the stars had changed recently, and the result almost made him vomit blood. Ever since Dustless joined the school of Confucianism, the situation had changed. The school of Confucianism would prosper, and the school of Yinyang would decline. The school of Confucianism would be fine, but the school of Yinyang would be in trouble. In the past, the school of Confucianism would perish, and the school of Yinyang would prosper. However, after Dustless joined the school of Confucianism, the situation changed. Dongwang Tai had no choice but to form an alliance with the school of Confucianism, hoping to change this sudden change. What happened next was even more shocking. Ever since he decided to form an alliance with Dustless through marriage, the movements of the stars had undergone a huge change. The school of Confucianism would prosper, and the school of Yinyang would prosper. This was the first time Dongwang Tai had encountered such a strange situation. From then on, he confirmed Dustless's uniqueness and indirectly tried to rope him in. As for Xing Hun, in Dongwang Tai's eyes, he was just a pawn. What was wrong with sacrificing a little for the school of Yinyang? Xing Hun should be happy. The world was cruel. Benefits came first. Xing Hun was used in an important position before because Dongwang Tai thought he had a future. Now that the school of Yinyang had a new blood, Dustless, Xing Hun's position became insignificant. Furthermore, this fellow had a grudge against Dustless. Chapter 1883. This world was a place where people chose to be chosen, abandoned, and abandoned. After the essence of any society was removed, what was left was the law of the jungle. If one's potential was not as good as others, they could only blame themselves for being useless if they were abandoned. Dongwang Tai felt that Dustless's future was greater than Xing Hun's, so it was necessary for him to abandon Xing Hun. To make a simple analogy, between heaven and hell, everyone would undoubtedly choose the former. Although Dongwang Tai was far-sighted, he was still a normal human. Naturally, he would choose the former, heaven. With Xing Hun, who represented hell, it was better to meet him sooner rather than later. Of course, old man, you're smart enough to choose the school of Yin Yang so that you can continue living. Dustless laughed in his heart. Although he did not understand the profound philosophy behind astrology, there is only one thing that had never changed in these thousands of years. Absolute power rewrote the world. Even the stars that Dong Wang Tai had comprehended leaned towards Dustless, let alone humans. How could Xing Hun not be abandoned? Damn it, damn it, damn it. How am I inferior to him? On the other side, Xing Hun was furious and puzzled. It was fine that others did not think highly of him, but even Dong Huang Tai, who he respected the most, seemed to have abandoned him. As a guardian, he could not even compare to an outsider from the Confucian school. Thinking about his miserable situation, Xing Hun was furious. Xing Hun, calm down. Yin Zhongjuan looked at the gloomy Xing Hun and tried to persuade him. It was just a momentary mistake. Why take it to heart? If you're so dispirited, won't that make Zichen feel better? What did you call me? Xing Hun narrowed his eyes and cursed Yin Zhongjuan in his heart. In the past, he used to call him Lord Xing Hun. Now that Dustless had snatched the guardian position away from him, they were just two simple Xing Hun. I called you Xing Hun. Yin Zhongjuan stroked his beard proudly. His coarse old face was filled with contentment. When he saw Xing Hun's angry face, he felt extremely pleased. He thought to himself, does he really think that he's still the Lord Xing Hun of the past? What Lord Xing Hun? That was in the past. Now, Xing Hun was just an ordinary disciple of the school of Yin Yang. His status was not as respected as before. This fence-sitter, when Xing Hun saw this, he was filled with regret. If he had known earlier, he would have taught Yin Zhongjuan a harsh lesson before he was stripped of his status. Xing Hun, although you have been stripped of your identity, we still have the same goal. We both have an enemy, the moon god. No, I should say that the number of enemies has increased. There is also Zichen and great Si Ming who is close to him. Now, even young Si Ming is one of his people. Yin Zhongjuan also stopped teasing Xing Hun. Thinking about the current situation, he was in a terrible fix. Come to think of it, the current school of Yin Yang had almost been unified by Dustless. At first glance, almost everyone was leaning towards Dustless. That's why we need to get closer. Why are we leaving? Before Yin Zhongjuan could finish speaking, a lazy voice came from behind him. Yin Zhongjuan and Xing Hun were both stunned. This mysterious voice didn't even make a sound when he walked. He was as silent as a spirit. For some reason, they thought that it was Dong Wang Tai. So it's Zichen. So it's Lord Zichen. Yin Zhongjuan smiled apologetically, and beads of sweat appeared on his forehead. If Dustless had wanted to kill him just now, he would have succeeded, and he would have become a headless corpse. What are the two of you discussing? Dustless looked at Xing Hun and Yin Zhongjuan lazily and said meaningfully, are you discussing how to deal with me? How dare I? Lord Zichen, just tell me what you want. I will do my best. Yin Zhongjuan immediately denied and winked at Xing Hun at the same time. His meaning was obvious. Don't talk nonsense. Humph, what a villain. Seeing this, Xing Hun snorted and glared at Yin Zhongjuan angrily before he left in a huff. He wasn't as good at flattering as Yin Zhongjuan, especially when the person who flattered him was his mortal enemy. I'm just a child. Please don't take offense, Lord Zichen. Yin Zhongjuan smiled sheepishly. In the past, when Xing Hun was still a protector, he was naturally afraid of him. But now, although he was still a member of the Yin Yang school and was quite powerful, to put it bluntly, he was just an abandoned dog. I'm new and I'm short of manpower recently, so Dustless's meaning was self-evident. The owner of the elusive mirage was Yin Zhongjuan, and he controlled all the resources on it. Short of manpower? That's easy. Just leave it to me. 50 or 100 people. The more, the better. Guardian Zichen, you don't have to be so formal. After all, we're on the same side, Yin Zhongjuan said with a flattering smile. Do you really think I don't know what you're thinking? Don't be so self-righteous, idiot. Upon hearing this, Dustless put on a kind smile on his face, but sneered in his heart. He had heard Yin Zhongjuan and Xing Hun's plan clearly and hadn't missed a single word. Do you think the two of you can join forces to deal with me? Ignorant. You don't even know how to spell the word death. Go ahead and show off. Dustless was full of contempt for Yun Zhongjuan. He made up his mind that as long as this guy refined the elixir of immortality, he would send Yun Zhongjuan and Xing Han to hell. I don't need so many people. I'm only short of one person. I heard that you have a few people from Shu Mountain under you, especially Yuziki. He's powerful and very obedient. Let me use him. Dustless looked at Yun Zhongjuan seriously, but the latter's face was stiff and his eyes were changing unpredictably. No one knew what he was thinking. Chapter 1884. Yuziki. When Yun Zhongjuan heard this name, his eyelids twitched violently. If it was an ordinary person, he could still make the decision. However, Yuziki was not an ordinary person. He had a powerful background. This person came from Shu Mountain and was extremely hostile to the Yin Yang school. Of course, Yuziki was not the only one. To a certain extent, the entire Shu Mountain was the enemy of the Yin Yang school. Lord Zichen wants Yuziki? Yun Zhongjuan's cheerful smile disappeared. He sized up Dustless warily and asked, Lord Zichen, do you know who he is? He's from Shu Mountain, but... Dustless glanced at Yun Zhongjuan and asked calmly, What about the people from Shu Mountain? Am I no match for him? Yun Zhongjuan? That's not the case. Yun Zhongjuan quickly denied it. Even though he had not seen Dustless fight with his own eyes, there was no doubt about his strength. Dong Wangtai would never find a useless idiot to be the Yin Yang school's left guardian. To be honest, Shu Mountain is one of the great enemies of the Yin Yang school. We can't let our guard down, Yun Zhongjuan advised. So, Lord Zichen, you should find another suitable candidate. No. Dustless shook his finger and said in an unquestionable tone, I like people who are rebellious. I'll take him. If Yun Zhongjuan refuses again. He gulped. When Yun Zhongjuan heard this strange laughter, his heart skipped a beat. Then, a sense of foreboding that went deep into his soul instantly spread throughout his body and mind. If you refuse me again, I'll have to ask Lord Dongwang to make the decision. We mentioned Dongwang. Dustless had a gloating smile on his face. That be asterisk starred. When Yun Zhongjuan heard this, the corners of his mouth twitched violently. He gritted his teeth so hard that they almost broke. Yun Zhongjuan was not an idiot. Based on the current situation, Dongwang Tai valued Dustless very much. He valued Dustless even more than the moon god. If he called Dongwang Tai out for such a trivial matter, he would definitely be scolded. Dustless was Dongwang Tai's favorite person, so the chance of him being scolded was 0. Therefore, the unlucky person was naturally Yun Zhongjuan. Lord Zichen must be joking. It would be disrespectful to disturb Lord Dongwang with such a simple question. Yun Zhongjuan looked terrified and immediately promised Dustless, I will definitely take Yuziki there. Even if he doesn't agree, I will tie him up and send him there. Then I'll have to trouble you, Yun Zhongjuan. I still have something to do, so I'll take my leave first. Dustless patted Yun Zhongjuan's shoulder and left with a satisfied expression. Preposterous. After a while, Yun Zhongjuan saw that Dustless had completely left. He stomped his feet angrily, and his eyes were gloomy. After staying in the Yin Yang school for so long, this was the first time he had been threatened. Look at the smug look on his face. Yun Zhongjuan, I reckon the next unlucky person will be you. Dustless had just left when Xing Han slowly walked out from the dark compartment with a puzzled look on his face. Yuziki? What does he want with this person? Who knows? Maybe he's curious about the people from Shu Mountain sect. Yun Zhongjuan didn't understand either. He lowered his head and thought for a while before answering. Curious? Xing Han glanced at Yun Zhongjuan and said in a deep voice, Yun Zhongjuan, if you want to bring someone down, you can't let go of any details so easily. Let me monitor the secret relationship between them. In a room with a decent environment, Dustless tasted the fragrant tea contentedly. His eyes were narrowed into crescents, and his expression was one of enjoyment. There was even a trace of pleasure in his blurry eyes. He looked over and saw that young Master Ming was gently massaging Dustless's temples. "Didn't you say that I would help you ask for Yuziki?" Young Master Ming looked at Dustless in confusion and said worriedly, "Also, you tricked Xing Hun this time. He definitely won't let this go easily. My identity and status are different now. I naturally don't need your help with this kind of thing." As for Xing Hun, Dustless laid lazily on young Master Ming's knees and said disdainfully, "It's nothing to worry about." Creak! The sliding door was suddenly opened, and two figures walked out of it. "Guardian Zichen, you really know how to enjoy life." These two people were Moon Deity and Great Sea Ming. The one who spoke was Great Sea Ming. She opened her beautiful eyes slightly and saw the faint smile on young Master Ming's face. She seemed to be very satisfied with her current life. A trace of jealousy flashed across Great Sea Ming's eyes. Enjoy life? Perhaps so. One must enjoy life to the fullest. Now that Xing Hun has become a stray dog, a celebration is necessary. On the other hand, why do the two of you look so serious? Looking at the serious Moon Deity and Great Sea Ming, Dustless asked, "Did something big happen that troubled the two of you? Why don't you tell me about it? After all, we're all in the same boat now." "It's not a big problem. Zhang Liang is here," Moon Deity said without hesitation. "As for why he's here to look for you, the third head of the Confucian school. If it was in the past, Zhang Liang would definitely not come to the elusive mirage. However, things were different now. The Confucian school and the school of Enyang were connected by marriage. All the conflicts in the past had disappeared. Although Zhang Liang was stripped of his position as the third head, the school of Enyang still valued him. Zhang Liang. Hearing this, Dustless frowned and then sneered. Zhang Liang and Xing Hun are really a pair of brothers. Both of them have their positions stolen by me. They probably hate me to the core. On the Confucian school side, Dustless took Zhang Liang's position and became the third head of the Confucian school. On the school of Enyang's side, he took Xing Hun's position and became the left guardian. Chapter 1885. After thinking for a while, Dustless finally decided to meet Zhang Liang. If he avoided meeting him, people would gossip about him. After all, he couldn't stay on the Mirage for too long. He would have to return to the Little Saint Manor sooner or later. "Zifan, what's up?" The Mirage had just docked at the shore when Dustless got off the boat leisurely with a warm smile on his face. Seeing Dustless's bright smile, Zhang Liang knew that Dustless was living a carefree life on the Mirage. He couldn't wait for Dustless to be beaten up by the Enyang school so that this marriage would be cancelled. "This is..." Seeing young Master Ming behind Dustless, Zhang Liang's face froze. "You mean her?" Pointing at young Master Ming, Dustless held her soft hand. "This is young Master Ming, my wife who hasn't married into the family yet. Come, call me husband." Wu Chun grinned at young Master Ming, beaming with joy. Hearing this, young Master Ming's face turned as red as blood. Her body temperature also rose rapidly. She remained silent for a few seconds. Young Master Ming is shy. Seeing this, Dustless smiled but didn't say anything. Then, he lowered his head and whispered in young Master Ming's ear, "What's done is done. It's only a matter of time before you call me husband. Also, this Zhang Liang is my archenemy. Do you want to embarrass me?" Young Master Ming. Dustless tried his best to persuade her, but his eyes were full of confidence. Although they had only known each other for a few days, Dustless basically understood young Master Ming's temper and personality. Although she looked cold on the surface, she actually cared about others. Of course, she only cared about her own people. All in all, in front of other men, especially Dustless's enemies, young Master Ming would never embarrass him. "Husband, husband." Young Master Ming's face was flushed red, but in the end, she still obeyed Dustless's arrangement. She opened her mouth and said, "Husband, are you tired? Do you want me to massage your shoulders?" Although it was very awkward, Nguyen voice was real. At the same time, it wasn't hard to see that Xiaoxi Ming was sincere towards Dustless. If it was just an act, she wouldn't feel shy at all. It was just a deal. It was precisely because she was shy and embarrassed that she indirectly proved that this was real. Dustless was especially proud. He aggressively held Xiao Ming's soft body in his arms and said, "My wife, don't worry. I'm not tired at all. It's just that my back is a bit sore. You can rub it for me later." "All right." Young Master Ming nodded obediently, her eyes filled with calmness, as if she was already used to it. Women in ancient times are so good. Why did moral values like the 3 obedience and 4 virtues disappear now? Dustless secretly complained, while secretly looking at Zhang Liang from the corner of his eyes. As expected, after hearing the conversation between the two, Zhang Liang's face froze. "The relationship between the two of you is frightening. I have something to do at the moment, so I'll take my leave." Zhang Liang bowed slightly and left, looking very decisive. "Hypocrite." Seeing Zhang Liang turn and leave, young Master Ming muttered. Young Master Ming wasn't an ordinary person. The moment Zhang Liang turned around, she saw the anger in his eyes. It was just that he didn't show it. Zhang Liang is indeed hypocritical. On one hand, he colluded with the Mo family. On the other hand, he has connections with Wei Zhuang. Recently, he even brought these two opposing forces together. Dustless nodded in agreement. Then, he held young Master Ming's waist and looked at the beautiful sunset. He said, "Let's take a walk back to the Little Saint Manor. We have nothing to do anyway." Everyone saw the situation just now. I'm afraid that Dustless has completely sided with the Yin-Yang school. In a certain inn, many disciples of the Mo family were gathered. Everyone secretly looked at Dustless, who was talking and laughing with young Master Ming through the unlatched window. They were all furious, feeling that they had been betrayed. That traitor! The angry Big Hammer slammed the table and shouted, "Our Mo family trusted him so much. That brat actually flirted with the Yin-Yang school." "Big Hammer, you're mistaken about one thing. In the beginning, Dustless was neutral. He wasn't a member of the Mo family, nor was he a member of the Yin-Yang school. In the beginning, Wu Chun even stood on our Mo family side and saved our Mo family from danger several times." Old Man Ban sighed and continued, "In the end, it's all our fault. Our methods weren't as good as the Yin-Yang school. That's why Dustless sided with the Yin-Yang school. Maybe our alliance with Wei Zhuang's quicksand caused Dustless to part ways with us. The two sides are irreconcilable. He killed many of Quicksand's people, but we allied with Wei Zhuang. I guess that guy is bitterly disappointed." Daoji hugged his hands and sighed. "No matter what, Dustless has sided with the Yin-Yang school. From today onwards, he's our enemy." Gao Jinli's eyes were cold and sharp. "Don't jump to conclusions." The respected Old Man Ban immediately expressed a different opinion. He said in a deep voice, "Although Dustless has a marriage alliance with the Yin-Yang school, he has no intention of doing anything to our Mo family. Let's wait and see for a while. What's more, we still have a trump card." Just then, Old Man Ban laughed strangely. He stroked his beard and said calmly, "If the Yin-Yang school can rope in Dustless, we can too. Their trump card is young Master Ming, and we also have a trump card that's better than young Master Ming's." Could it be? The Mo family's eyes lit up. They said in unison, "Miss Rome." Chapter 1886. That's right, the trump card Old Ban was referring to was Duanmu Rong. Everyone in the Mo family knew about the relationship between Dustless and Duanmu Rong. They loved each other and loved each other. They had an advantage over the Yin-Yang school. I object. There were exceptions to everything. Even though everyone thought it was a good idea to marry Duanmu Rong and Dustless, there were also people who objected, and it was a very intense kind. Everyone followed the source of the voice and saw one of the leaders of the Mo family, Daoji, who was secretly in love with Duanmu Rong. That's normal. Those who knew the inside story weren't surprised. Everyone knew that Daoji was secretly in love with Duanmu Rong. Unfortunately, Daoji's love had always been one-sided. The minority obeys the majority. Objection is invalid. Old Man Ban snorted, completely ignoring Robber Ji's feelings. What's more, none of us have the final say in this matter. It's just this old man's suggestion. The key is Miss Rong's decision. Daoji was speechless and lowered his head in embarrassment. Just as Master Ban said, the decision was in Duanmu Rong's hands. Compared to the Yin school, which had strict rules, the Mo family was very lax. The decision to marry Dustless was still in Duanmu Rong's hands. Old Ban was just making a suggestion. How dare you? Then why don't you give Shui? The infuriated Daoji suddenly shut his mouth. He did not say the word woman in the end, because he discovered that a pair of eyes that contained monstrous murderous intent was sizing him up in an unfriendly manner. I was just kidding. Don't mind me. Daoji smiled. The owner of the cold gaze was Gao Jianli. He'd already unsheathed frost. Even the ground was covered in ice. Everyone in the Mo family cursed Daoji for being an idiot. He wanted to give Shui Nu to Dustless. Everyone thought it was a good idea. With Duanmu Rong and Shui Nu, they could definitely get Dustless to help the Mo family again. However, do you think that Gao Jianli don't exist? Gao Jianli glared at Robber Ji with a murderous look. It was only when the latter's hair stood on end that Gao Jianli retracted his gaze. It's up to you how you want to deal with this matter. I'll go back first. It was no wonder that Gao Jianli was so angry. He worked himself to the bone every day for the Mo clan, and now this group of bastards actually wanted to give the Snow Lady to Dustless for a marriage alliance. He already disliked Dustless from the start and felt that he was extremely suspicious. Now this group of bastards wanted to sell him out. I treat you guys as my brothers. How dare you help Dustless make me a cuckold? Gao Jianli walked out of the inn, feeling extremely depressed. Even though there was no concrete progress between him and the Snow Maiden, everyone knew about their relationship. These B***stards actually wanted to help Dustless cheat on him. How despicable. Daoji, your mouth is really asking for a beating. Don't you know the relationship between Xiao Gao and the Snow Lady? Old Man Ban looked at Daoji in annoyance. This was his idea, and it had nothing to do with anyone else. However, Gao Jianli held a grudge against everyone else, and they were all implicated. Don't you know that I have a crush on Miss Rong? Daoji retorted unceremoniously. The Mo clan's commanders were all speechless and could only stare at him. Old Man Ban, who had a headache, didn't waste any more words. The specifics of this matter depended on Duanmu Rong's opinion. If she didn't agree, everything would be in vain. Late at night, Dustless also returned to the Sage Manor. The Mo clan's people also returned to their base deep in the mountains. They discussed how to deal with Dustless for most of the night. In the end, Old Man Ban had no choice but to ask Duanmu Rong for help. What? You want me to marry Dustless? You want to rope him in to help the Mo clan? Hearing Old Man Ban's idea, Duanmu Rong was stunned for a moment, and then she was filled with anger. Master Ban, has the Mo clan become so incompetent? You want to sacrifice me to save the Mo clan? Duanmu Rong's face was full of anger. Although she was quite loyal to Dustless, this was completely different. Miss Rong, don't be angry. This is just a discussion. Whether you agree or not, it's up to you. Old Man Ban spread his hands and smiled bitterly. I have no choice. You know the Mo clan's current situation better than I do. Duanmu Rong didn't speak. Her expression didn't change, but her resentment towards the Mo clan had already exploded. When you first formed an alliance with Quicksand, I was already against it. Dustless and Wei Zhuang have an irreconcilable grudge. Your alliance forced Dustless away, and you only have yourself to blame. Miss Rong, there are too many things in life that don't go your way. It's impossible to have the best of both worlds. I only hope that you can carefully consider this from the Mo clan's point of view. After saying this, Old Man Ban dragged his tired body and left. Maybe what Dustless said before wasn't all wrong. Duanmu Rong's eyes flickered. She suddenly remembered what Dustless had said before. Maybe they were wrong to oppose the Qin dynasty. Why could the Qin dynasty unify the world? It showed that Zheng had great wisdom. Could this kind of hegemony be accomplished by just anyone? From this, she could see that Zheng was extraordinary. Why were the other 6 countries destroyed by the Qin dynasty? Because their monarchs were too corrupt and incompetent. Take the deceased Prince Yin of the Mo clan, Yin Dan's father, for example. This guy was incompetent and caused the destruction of his country. How could he blame Zheng? If he had great talent and bold vision, the Yin kingdom wouldn't have been destroyed. Moreover, the people living in the Yin kingdom at that time were very miserable. The so-called violent Qin dynasty was completely self-deceiving. The people living in the 6 countries under the Qin dynasty were much happier than before. Chapter 1887. Clap, clap, clap. Not only the Mo family, but even their enemy, Li Si, was also furious. He smashed one piece of exquisite porcelain after another. Are you sure about this? Li Si looked at the pale man in front of him with a murderous look. Lord Prime Minister, I'm sure you know how powerful the Luo net is. The scary-looking man cupped his fists and explained, this is most likely true. Clap, clap, clap. It would have been better if he hadn't said anything. After Zhao Gao finished speaking, Li Si angrily smashed a few more porcelain pieces. Where did that brat come from? How could he be so lucky? First, he was the 3rd head of the Confucian family. Now, he is the left guardian of the school of Yin Yang. His existence is a threat to me. I have to get rid of him. Li Si's eyes shone with a murderous gleam. Even the wild beasts were nothing compared to him. Although Li Si was knowledgeable and capable, he was excellent in all aspects. He could be said to be 1 in 10,000 able to govern the country. The Qin state could unify the 6 countries with the momentum of crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood, which had a lot to do with him. However, no matter how powerful Li Si was, he was still one of the many living beings in the world. As long as one was a human, they would have their shortcomings. Jealousy was one of his biggest shortcomings. Han Fei was killed by him. Now, there was an even more powerful Dustless. He was not only the 3rd head of the Confucian family, but also the left guardian of the school of Yin Yang. As for the original guardian Xing Han, he had been kicked aside. The Luonet's intelligence was very powerful. Although no one knew that Dustless had become the left guardian of the school of Yin Yang, Li Si and Zhao Gao were very clear about it. And there was another problem that worried Li Si the most. Young Master Fu Su seemed to like Dustless. Once Fu Su became the new emperor of the Qin state, Dustless would definitely soar. Dustless was also the 3rd head of the Confucian family. The Confucian family, which had a grudge with Li Si, would also soar. My lord, how should we deal with that brat? Zhao Gao released his murderous aura and asked, do you still need me to say it? Glancing at Zhao Gao, Li Si said coldly, of course it's best for this kind of person to disappear, but we can't let anyone find out that we did it. And immediately after, Li Si's eyes suddenly narrowed. Don't send a good-for-nothing to embarrass me. The assassins that were sent last time were all killed by Dustless. This time, at least send me a few powerful ones. Understood, my lord. Zhao Gao nodded when he heard this, and then he quietly retreated. Li Si would not let go of anyone who could threaten his position, be it friend or foe. It took him too long to climb to the position of Prime Minister of the Qin state. Li Si would never allow a Dustless to appear out of nowhere and be appreciated by everyone. Lord Li, long time no see. At this moment, an incomparably sinister voice suddenly sounded out in the room. His expression immediately changed, and a hint of fear flashed across his face. This is... Li Si hurriedly turned his head and was shocked to find a large sword shining with cold light at his throat. It could slit his throat at any time and end his life. So it's Mr. Wei Zhuang. After seeing the visitor, Li Si immediately greeted him with a fake smile. He tried his best to remain calm on the surface, but in his heart, he was already cursing the soldiers guarding the mansion. A bunch of useless trash. Wei Zhuang sneaked in, and no one knows about it. Li Si was so angry that he cursed in his heart. Ever since the Mo family's mechanical city was defeated, Li Si and Wei Zhuang's Lu Sha parted ways. Both parties embarked on different paths, and Wei Zhuang's Lu Sha became a wanted criminal in the Qin state. Mr. Wei must have something important to discuss with you for a visit so late at night. Looking at Wei Zhuang's terrifying eyes, Li Si tried his best to remain calm. Prime Minister is indeed intelligent. Glancing at Li Si, whose forehead was covered in cold sweat, Wei Zhuang's face was full of ridicule. He thought to himself, It's said that the higher one's position is, the more afraid of death. This is indeed true. My purpose is very simple. Lifting his gaze slightly, Wei Zhuang stared at Zhao Gao, who had already disappeared, and said, "Tell me everything about your secret conversation. If you miss a single word, I will cut off one of your fingers." Hearing this, Li Si was terrified. Cold sweat dripped down like raindrops. He knew that Wei Zhuang was not joking. Although he was unwilling, he could only confess everything. At the same time, Dustless, who was resting in the little saint's manor, suddenly opened his eyes. He quietly felt the changes in his surroundings. His deep black eyes shot out a ray of light. "This is interesting." After stretching his body, Dustless sat up. His gaze was slightly frozen as he stared at the half-closed door. He quietly waited for the assassin who was about to break in. The faintly discernible cold air drifting in the surroundings was too sensitive to Dustless. "Who is it? I'm really looking forward to it." With a slight shake of his arm, a pure black, strange long sword suddenly appeared in Dustless's hand. The shape of the sword was very strange, and it did not have a blade. On the surface, it looked like a blunt weapon. However, there was no doubt that it was a sword. It was a very famous sword, Ink Eyebrow. Ink Eyebrow was the inherited weapon of the Mo family. When Yin Dan was killed in the Mechanical City, this weapon fell into Dustless's hands. Chapter 1888. Even though this mysterious assassin was very skilled at hiding his murderous aura, he was still too naive to think that he could fool everyone. Creak. The half-closed door was gently pushed open, and Dustless was immediately attracted to it. Where have I seen such a ferocious gaze before? Dustless was startled by those deep, wild, beast-like eyes. He didn't think that the assassin was very powerful, but he had a sense of déjà vu, as if he had met him somewhere before. "Who is it?" Dustless lowered his head and guessed. He stroked the black eyebrow in his hand, and the rough texture made his palm a little numb. Could it be, at this moment, a man with a big body, powerful strength, and a terrifying aura suddenly jumped out in Dustless's mind? He was also carrying an extremely exaggerated giant sword. Shang-Chi of the Nongfu family. His eyes were almost as ferocious and terrifying as the mysterious assassin in front of him. His body was full of deadly oppression, and his piercing eyes made people unable to resist. Creak. At the same time, the half-closed door was completely pushed open, and a ferocious-looking big man suddenly flashed out. Just as Dustless had guessed, the tattooed face was undoubtedly Shang-Chi. "Boy, are your guts made of iron?" As soon as he stepped into the room, Shang-Chi heard the voice that he didn't want to hear in his life. He rushed to the place where the voice came from, and a man with a mocking face suddenly appeared in front of him. "Who are you?" Shang-Chi was stunned and found that he didn't know Dustless, although the voice was somewhat familiar. "You are still Zi-chun." Dustless immediately removed the disguise on his face. His current identity was still Zi-chun of the Confucian school. "Do you know me now?" After removing the disguise, Dustless stared at Shang-Chi with a cold expression and sneered. "Boy, I let you live last time, but you still dare to assassinate me. Who gave you the courage? Why is it you?" "Dustless." Shang-Chi's old face suddenly darkened. In his huge eyes, there was a strong sense of fear. Last time when he was beaten up by Wu Chun, it left an unforgettable impression on him. He would never forget it. "You dare to assassinate me. Are you prepared to die?" Dustless picked up Ink Eyebrows and slowly walked towards Shang-Chi. "Wait." Shang-Chi quickly raised his right arm and explained, "I only came to assassinate the third head of the scholarly faction. I didn't know this person was you. Ignorance is blameless. Innocent." Dustless couldn't help but smile. He sneered and said, "I say, Shang-Chi, are you here to be funny? Now that you have come to assassinate me, you still dare to say that you are innocent? Zhao Gao ordered me to do this. I didn't know your true identity." Shang-Chi hated Zhao Gao in his heart. How was he sent to assassinate? He was obviously sent to die. Zhao Gao. In Wu Chen's mind suddenly flashed a man with a deep expression and a cold aura all over his body. He frowned and said, "It turns out to be that kid. Shang-Chi, I can give you a chance to atone for your crime. I will definitely complete it." Shang-Chi was overjoyed. He decisively forgot Zhao Gao's mission. Last time, he blindly challenged Dustless and lost miserably. The overwhelming strength had left a psychological shadow on Shang-Chi. He couldn't defeat this man who looked very weak on the surface. "Help me assassinate Zhao Gao and Li Si, and I will spare your life." Dustless rolled his eyes and said his condition. "This, assassinate Zhao Gao and Li Si?" Shang-Chi's face changed greatly. He asked in a hoarse voice, "You are deliberately making things difficult for me. What will happen if I refuse your condition?" "Refuse?" Dustless's eyes flashed with a deadly red light. He said coldly, "Then I will tear you into pieces immediately." Damn it. Shang-Chi wanted to cry, but had no tears. Both sides were big shots that he couldn't afford to offend. Needless to say, Dustless's strength was boundless. Zhao Gao's strength might not be as good as Dustless's, but he had a group of lackeys. Altogether, he was also in existence that Shang-Chi couldn't afford to offend. "Are you still hesitating?" Seeing that Shang-Chi was in a dilemma, Dustless reminded him, "If you refuse my condition, you will die here immediately. If you turn to assassinate Zhao Gao, you may still have a chance to live. Besides, have you forgotten who sent you to assassinate me? If it weren't for that culprit, you wouldn't be in a dilemma now." "I agreed to assassinate Zhao Gao and Li Si." Shang-Chi lowered his head and hesitated for a while. Then he turned his head and left. Although these words were suspected of sowing discord, it was an undeniable fact. If Zhao Gao hadn't ordered him to assassinate Dustless, today's things would never have happened. All the fault was on Zhao Gao's head. How boring. Dustless sighed. Just as he was about to go to sleep, an unexpected, uninvited guest suddenly paid him a visit. "The weapon in your hand is the ink eyebrow?" Under the moonlight, the handsome figure's eyes were filled with unconcealable shock. This person's black hair was fluttering in the wind. He held a sharp, long sword and stood with his hands behind his back. His puzzled eyes were all focused on the ink eyebrow in Dustless's hand. This guy, noticing that this person could call out the name Ink Eyebrow, Dustless immediately knew that something was wrong. He glanced sideways and saw Gao Jianli. "Give me an explanation." "Dustless, where did you get the Ink Eyebrow?" "This is the inherited weapon of the Mo family's giants. Only the giants of the Mo family can control it." Gao Jianli's tone was as cold as snow. He was keenly aware that he had peeped into a huge conspiracy. The death of the giant, Yin Dan, probably had a darkened side story that no one knew. "It's really troublesome that you found out." Dustless rubbed his temples with a headache. The boiling, killing intent disappeared in an instant. "Then please go to hell and reunite with Yin Dan." Chapter 1889. Go to hell to continue our relationship. Hearing this, Gao Jinli was stunned at first, then looked at Dustless gloomily and asked in a hoarse voice, "That is to say, you admit that you killed the Juzi with your own hands?" "That's right. I was the one who killed that heartless man." Not denying it, Dustless simply admitted it directly and said, "I sent him to heaven with my own hands when I was in Mahis Machine Gate City." "You bastard!" Gao Jinli was furious, and under the moonlight, his whole body was covered with a layer of cold mist visible to the naked eye. Seeing this, Dustless casually smiled and waved his hand and said loudly, "Don't feel sad. I will free you right away. A dead man will not feel sad." Arrogant. Gao Jinli was furious, and his body was like a shadow with the wind, rushing head-on. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The speed of the afterimage was so fast that it was difficult to capture its movement trajectory with the naked eye alone. What Gao Jinli was most adept at was his incomparable speed. It was a complete victory over the enemy with speed. Ridiculous. Dustless lightly raised the ink eyebrow in his hand and said contemptuously, "Once, I have fought so many enemies. You are the only sad person who wanted to use speed to defeat me." As his voice fell, Dustless's observation haki quietly spread out, and Gao Jianli, who was as fast as lightning, suddenly appeared. Too slow. Just as the cold Ishui was about to pierce his body, the ink eyebrow in his hand fell from the sky and smashed the oncoming attack in one fell swoop. Ka. The attack, which contained the weight of thousands of tons, landed on Gao Jianli's right shoulder. His bones immediately collapsed, and a series of cracking sounds were heard. The place hit by the ink eyebrow was badly mutilated, and there was a large pool of blood mixed with white bone fragments and a shocking dent mark. Bang! His entire right arm was destroyed, and Gao Jianli could no longer hold the cold Ishui and instantly fell to the ground. Suffering an unprecedented injury, Gao Jianli's face instantly turned as pale as snow, and his body fell to the ground uncontrollably. The torn wound was extremely painful. "You overestimate yourself." Dustless slowly walked over. Looking at the wailing Gao Jianli, he immediately said in disdain, "I hate hypocrites like you the most. What chivalrous path of saving the common people? It's all bullshit." To put it bluntly, Yin Dan was just trying to restore his kingdom. He wanted to revive the Yin kingdom for his own selfish desires. Was this saving the common people? The same goes for Zhang Liang. How can a lowly person like you understand the greatness of Tycoon? Even though his right shoulder was shattered and he was in so much pain that he broke out in cold sweat, Gao Jianli still retorted sarcastically, "You think he's great?" Upon hearing that, Dustless's lips curled into an almost imperceptible sneer. He asked coldly, "Yin Dan abandoned his wife and daughter. He even abandoned his own wife. Is this what it means to be great and noble? It's impossible to have the best of both worlds. In order to overthrow the tyrannical Qin dynasty, necessary sacrifices are inevitable." Gao Jianli answered with an expressionless face. He did not think that Yin Dan had done anything wrong. Is that so? The so-called chivalrous person of the Mo family is abandoning his wife and daughter? What a joke. After all, the Mo family is just a motley crew. You're just too hypocritical. You can't even protect your own wife and daughter, and you keep saying that you want to save the common people. How childish. You're just a hypocritical person. Dustless's words had degraded Yin Dan to be worthless. His eyes became deep and distant as he recalled. "I still remember that before Yin Dan died, he told me that he had the ability to save the common people, but chose to turn a deaf ear to it. He is not worthy of being a man. But in my opinion, no matter what excuse he uses, a man who abandons his wife and daughter is not even qualified to be a man." The most ridiculous thing is that the tycoon of the Mo family, Yin Dan, is the biggest stain on his reputation. He kept saying that he was going to overthrow the Qin dynasty to save the common people, but his real identity is the crown prince of the Yin kingdom. And I've always had a question. If the Qin dynasty is overthrown one day, who will be the new emperor? Are you sure Yin Dan will not be tempted? Hearing that, Gao Jianli, who was lying on the ground, was speechless. He stuttered for a long time, but could not say anything. Suddenly, he felt that Dustless's words made some sense. Who could ignore the position of emperor? Moreover, the original Yin Dan was the crown prince of the Yin kingdom. How could he not be tempted by the position of the king of Qin? Only ghosts would know. "You're speechless, aren't you, Gao Jianli?" Dustless stared at Gao Jianli, who was silent for a while. He sighed and said, "In fact, among the 100 schools of thought, everyone is fighting for their own interests. Everyone wants to get a share of the future. It's all for their own ambitions. There's no chivalry to talk about. Don't confuse the Mo family with those vulgar sections. They're not qualified," Gao Jianli said coldly. His eyes were fixed on the ground, as if looking at Dustless would dirty his eyes. "Then why are you speechless? Lying to yourself will only make you look more guilty. By the way, before you die, I'll tell you a piece of good news for the sake of our past friendship. Of course, it might be a disaster for the Mo family." Dustless lowered his head and whispered into Gao Jianli's ear with a strange smile. Do you still remember the Black Dragon dossier that the Immo family seized a while ago? That's actually the bait that I sent Yueshin and Great Sea Ming to throw out. As for the purpose, I'm sure you've already guessed it. It's to catch all the hypocrites of the Immo family in one fell swoop. Chapter 1890. You bastard. Upon hearing this, Gao Jianli, who was still howling in grief, suddenly found the strength to shoot out a strange light from his eyes. He stared at Dustless like a torch. Seeing Gao Jianli's grief-stricken look, Dustless's interest was immediately piqued. He said with disgust, "In the past, I saved your Mo clan a few times. Even when Mo clan was a mechanical city, if it wasn't for me, your Mo clan would have been completely annihilated. So what? Now you have betrayed us." Gao Jianli roared with anger, trying to make himself sound more imposing. However, looking at his miserable look, it only added to his sadness. It was your Mo clan who first cooperated with Wei Zhuang's quicksand. If your Mo clan can turn against us, why can't I? Dustless glanced at Gao Jianli indifferently and said with a sneer, "I forgot to tell you. Apart from being the third head of the Confucian school, I also have a special identity, the left guardian of the school of Yinyang." The left guardian of the school of Yinyang. Upon hearing this, Gao Jianli was dumbfounded. Looking at Dustless, who had an evil smile on his face, he suddenly realized that this man was too terrifying. He had only joined the Confucian school for a few days, but he had already snatched the job of the third head of the school of Yinyang. Now, he had also snatched the position of Xing Hun, becoming an existence that was second only to Donghuang Tai and equal to Yueshin. The content of the Black Dragon dossier that you have seized is that on the 18th of next month, the first emperor will go on an inspection tour in the east. Actually, that's not the case. The person who will replace Ying Zheng on the inspection tour is Xing Hun. Dustless's words made Gao Jianli's expression change drastically. His heart was like dead ashes. Damn it! After a while, Gao Jianli was furious. At first, he thought that the method of obtaining the Black Dragon dossier was too simple. The people who were escorting it were only a group of Qin soldiers. It turned out that it was the bait that Dustless had sent out. Let's stop here. You also know that I have always been a kind person. Do you have any last words? Little Gao. Dustless propped his chin on his hand and asked in boredom. Last words. Gao Jianli's eyes suddenly narrowed, focusing on Dustless's body. His ice-cold eyes surged with cruel killing intent. His remaining arm had already reached out to grab the fallen Yishui Han. My last words are for you to die with me. As soon as he finished speaking, Gao Jianli grabbed it and stabbed it toward Dustless's eyes. His method was extremely ruthless. TSK, TSK. Dustless revealed a disdainful expression when he saw this. He focused his gaze on Gao Jianli and murmured sorrowfully, "Are your last words for me to take care of the snow ladies? It's really touching. All right, don't worry and leave it to me. Just die on your own." Hearing this, Gao Jianli was so angry that he almost fell down. The long sword in his hand shook violently. He said furiously, "Nonsense. When did I ask you to take care of Shui? Dustless, don't talk nonsense." Clang, clang, clang. The cold light of the long sword hit Dustless's head. According to common sense, no matter who it was, they would definitely die. However, there are always exceptions in this world. Your Yishui Han is too blunt to pierce through me. You will never be able to pierce through my armament hockey. Regardless of Gao Jianli's shocked eyes, Dustless indifferently removed the tip of the sword that pierced his eyelids. Then his eyes began to rotate faster. The raging chill all focused on Gao Jianli's body. Amaterasu. Boundless black flames instantly burned Gao Jianli's body. He howled miserably as the flames devoured and crushed his life force bit by bit. Not even a corpse was left. Mo family's residence hidden deep in the mountains. What little Gao is dead? Everyone in Mo family looked at the self-blaming figure in disbelief. Everyone's eyes were wide open. At first, everyone thought that Gao Jinli was sulking and went out for a walk. Who would have thought that the result was so absurd? Yes, it's all my fault for being useless. I didn't protect little Gao well. Dustless looked ashamed. He handed the Ishui Han in his hand to Snow Girl and swore, "Miss Snow Girl, I swear that even if I have to pay with my life, I will not let you get hurt. This is my last promise to little Gao." Everyone in Mo family was stunned. Snow Girl was the same. She trembled as she grabbed the Ishui Han that was covered in blood. Tears welled up in her eyes. Who killed little Gao? I want to avenge him. A sharp roar filled with endless hatred came from Snow Girl's throat. Her tone was filled with killing intent, as if she wanted to be torn to pieces by the culprit. Damn, do you need to be so scary? Seeing Snow Girl's godlike appearance, Dustless's neck shrank. It was Xing Hun for the Enyang school. I saw him throw the corpse into the sea to feed the fish after killing little Gao. Despicable Enyang school. Hearing this, everyone in Mo family glared at him. Snow Girl even broke out of the door angrily. It seemed like she was going to seek revenge on Xing Hun from the Enyang school. Bam! Dustless flashed behind Snow Girl and knocked her unconscious with a karate chop. Then, he carried her to Duanmu Rong and signaled for her to take Snow Girl to rest. Snow Girl challenging Xing Hun alone was no different from setting herself on fire. Wait, there's something wrong with this. At this moment, a doubtful voice sounded. Dustless looked over and sneered in his heart. Zhang Liang, you don't know what's good for you. I've prepared everything. Let's see how high your IQ is. If you can defeat me, a transmigrator, then you can. Chapter 1891. Strange, Zifeng, what do you think is strange? Dustless remained calm on the surface, but he was laughing coldly in his heart. This guy always wanted to attack him in various ways, but he always ended up humiliating himself. Yeah? What's strange? Everyone from the Mo family asked doubtfully. Their tone was full of questions. It's nothing strange. Zhang Liang smiled and maintained his gentle and elegant manner. He looked at Dustless and asked, Brother Dustless, where were you at that time? Why do you know so much about it? I heard that you have a marriage alliance with someone from the Enyang school. So if it's this, Dustless replied calmly. Zifeng, I know what you were thinking. I was there when little Gao was killed. What? Dustless's words made everyone from the Mo family widen their eyes. They were already dissatisfied with Dustless, and now they were furious. How could this guy be so ruthless? He watched their Mo family members being killed without doing anything. Why are you so heartless? Our Mo family treated you as a friend. The Tai Chue shouted angrily. He wanted to say, Our Mo family has treated you well, but sadly, he realized that the Mo family didn't provide anything for Dustless at all. In fact, they even implicated Dustless in some aspects. That's right. Why did you stand aside and watch? Master Ban asked with a gloomy face. Not only Master Ban, but everyone else also looked at Wu Chun, their eyes full of hostility. Everyone. Dustless smiled calmly and made up a story decisively. He said softly, Gao Jinli attacked the elusive mirage. At that time, the 5 elders of the Enyang school, 2 guardians, and the sect master, Dongwang Tai, were all there. I was no match for the enemy. So, is that so? The expressions of the people from the Mo clan loosened slightly. In this way, they couldn't resent Wu Chun. Aside from the unfathomable Dongwang Tai, there were 5 elders from the Enyang school and 2 protectors. Such a luxurious lineup was enough to crush everything. What a load of nonsense! Zhang Liang coldly snorted in his heart, cursing the Mo family for being foolish. He was sure that there was a secret behind Xiao Gao's death. Why did little Gao go to the Mirage to look for Brother Dustless? Zhang Liang was still gentle and elegant, but his words were sarcastic. Little Gao is mature and steady. He definitely wouldn't enter the Mirage rashly. This guy, Dustless raised his eyebrows and continued to say calmly, I don't know about that. Maybe it's just spying. I heard from Miss Duanmu that you have obtained the Black Dragon dossier. If you want to crack it, you can only do so with 1,000 bronze plate. This sentence is really flawless, Zhang Liang frowned. He couldn't find a problem at all. Such a calm answer, as if he had thought about it in advance. However, it was precisely because of this that Zhang Liang was even more certain that there was a conspiracy behind Xiao Gao's death. How could a watertight plan be an unintentional mistake? The fact that Dustless was so calm meant that he had thought about it in advance. That's right. I've already stolen the thing that you want. A round copper plate suddenly appeared on Dustless's right arm. There are all kinds of mysterious words on it. This is the 1,000 bronze plate. Master Ban was overjoyed when he saw this. He didn't care about Dustless taking out the 1,000 bronze plate and snatched it over. He said excitedly, "With this item, we'll be able to crack the Black Dragon dossier easily." That's great. Initially, the MO family members were still suspicious of Dustless. However, when they saw him taking out the 1,000 bronze plate, their doubts disappeared. If he was an enemy, there was no need for him to take out the 1,000 bronze plate. I can only say that it's a pity about Xiao Gao's death. Master Ban sighed and said in a deep voice, "It will take a lot of time to defeat the Qin dynasty. Everyone, please be careful in the future. You only have one life. We'll look for Xing Han in the future for Xiao Gao's life." A bunch of idiots, Dustless snickered in his heart. This groundless accusation was completely placed on Xing Han's head. Sigh. Zhang Liang sighed helplessly. He was caught off guard by Gao Jinli's sudden death. Originally, everyone was discussing how to assassinate Dustless and Xiaoxi Ming on their wedding day. Gao Jinli was full of praise for this plan. Now that he was dead, Zhang Liang didn't know if the MO family would give up on this plan. Creak. The door of the quiet room was gently pushed open. Duanmu Rong looked over and nodded slightly when she saw that it was Dustless. "How is Miss Xue?" Dustless lowered his head and looked at Xue Nu, who was lying on the sickbed. He asked, "She doesn't look well. Will there be any major problems?" "She's just severely injured." Duanmu Rong shook her head and said worriedly, "You know the relationship between Xiao Gao and Xue Nu, Sai. It's hard to estimate the impact of Xiao Gao's death on Xue Nu. I hope she doesn't have any other ideas." Ideas? Dustless was stunned when he heard this. With Xue Nu's personality, she might really assassinate Xing Han on her own. "Leave it to me." Dustless gestured to Duanmu Rong not to worry. He comforted her and said, "The past will always be the past. Since Xiao Gao asked me to take care of Xue Nu, I can't let anything happen to her." When he said this, Wu Chen couldn't help but blush. After all, he was the one who killed Gao Jinli. "All right, I have something to ask you." Duanmu Rong blinked a few times and looked at Dustless with a hint of resentment in her eyes. "Don't tell me." Suddenly thinking of something, Dustless's face was embarrassed. Chapter 1892. It was impossible to hide the marriage between Dustless and young Master Ming, especially since Zhang Liang was involved. It was impossible to fool him. "You and young Master Ming of the Yinyang School have a marriage alliance?" Duanmu Rong's tone had a hint of complaint and sadness. She and Dustless had known each other for longer than anyone else, but the ending seemed to be a little funny. What made Duanmu Rong feel even more depressed was that someone else had beat her to it. Hearing this, Dustless was silent for a moment, then nodded and said, "Yes, this marriage was proposed by Dong Wangtai of the Yinyang School." The head of the Confucian school, Fu Nian, also agreed. "I am now the third head of the Confucian school." The atmosphere fell into a strange silence. Both Duanmu Rong and Dustless found it difficult to speak. After all, some things could not be easily solved with fists. Things that needed to be solved with words were often more troublesome and troublesome. Speaking of which, how is Shirlan, who I brought last time? After a moment of silence, Dustless took the lead and said, "I have brought her brother, Yuziki, out." "Shirlan?" Hearing this, Duanmu Rong paused for a moment, then nodded and said, "She is almost awake. In a few days, she can get out of bed and walk." "Thank you, Duanmu Rong. If you have any trouble, you can find me to solve it." For some reason, at the end of his sentence, Wu Chan suddenly changed his words. When he realized what he had said, he was stunned. Everything seemed to be an instinctive reaction. Dustless was not sure how it felt. No need to thank me. It's okay. Duanmu Rong nodded slightly, but a strange light flashed in her eyes. That Duanmu Rong remembered Master Ban's previous suggestion. She could only helplessly muster up her courage and said, Master Ban, I hope that you and I, before her voice fell, Duanmu Rong's cheeks turned red. She was obviously shy. Could it be? Dustless smiled bitterly as he recalled the character of a certain old man. He immediately understood what Duanmu Rong wanted to say. With a strange expression, he said, That old man. Could it be that he wishes for us to be together? To tell you the truth, that is my intention, including the others. Duanmu Rong nodded with difficulty. Finally, she lowered her head with a sickly red face. At the same time, she felt rather desolate. She had always been loyal to the Mo family and did not dare to be careless in the slightest. However, she did not expect that the Mo family would use her as a tool. That old man really has a lot of rotten ideas. He really put in a lot of effort to rope me in. Dustless sighed in his heart. He rolled his eyes unnaturally and said seriously, Ronger, I'm not a good person. I'm worse than you think. However, if you're really willing to give yourself to me, I'm willing to do my best. I don't mind telling you directly. Perhaps, just as Zhang Liang is worried, I might be harmful to the Mo family in the future. If it was someone else, Dustless would naturally not empathize with their feelings. The winner was the king, and the loser was the bandit. It was the nature of the game for the loser to be robbed. There was no need to empathize with other people's feelings. Only the one with the bigger fist had the right to change the game. However, Duanmu Rong was different. The reason why Dustless chose to be honest with her was because she was the one who saved him on the first day he came to this world. Although it was unnecessary, after a series of changes, Dustless realized that he had completely fallen in love with her. Dustless could deceive others. After all, he had always defined himself as a villain. As for Duanmu Rong, he only wanted to have a clear conscience. Dustless did not want to use any tricks. Dustless looked at Duanmu Rong quietly, waiting for her answer. At the same time, there was an uproar in another direction. Be Astra's star, you damn guy. What are you trying to do? Have you forgotten who let you out of prison? Now you're biting the hand that feeds you. The night was dark and the wind was strong. Murder and arson were everywhere. On such a beautiful night, another good show was playing out somewhere else. Li Si, you sinister villain. I'll kill you first, then I'll kill Zhao Gao. Shang-Chi waved his crude Great Ravager and killed all the reinforcements who rushed over. His pair of tiger-like glasses made Li Si tremble in fear. He was so scared that he almost peed in his pants. Fortunately, my neck is still here. Li Si touched his head. After realizing that his neck was still there, he immediately heaved a sigh of relief. It was not easy for him to get to the position of the Prime Minister. If he was killed by Shang-Chi, it would be a tragedy. Don't worry, it'll be gone soon. Shang-Chi smiled ferociously. His face was filled with hatred and disgust. It was because of this bastard that he went to assassinate the third head of the Confucian school. His real identity was Dustless, the super evil star. Last time, he was beaten up by Dustless. It was not easy for him to survive. Now Li Si and Zhao Gao push him into the pit again. He was almost killed by Dustless. How could Shang-Chi not be angry? I've treated you so well. How dare you assassinate me? Be Astra's starred. I'll tear you into pieces if I find out. Li Si warned angrily. You won't have a chance. Shang-Chi smiled cruelly. Looking at the corpses on the ground, he slowly walked towards Li Si. As everyone knew, Li Si was a civil official. Although he was the prime minister of the empire, his strength was not even comparable to an ordinary soldier. Chapter 1893. Realizing that he was forced into a desperate situation, Li Si was furious. He was the prime minister, but he was forced into such a difficult situation by an assassin. The prestige of the prime minister had been thrown away. Shang-Chi, don't do anything rash. Let's talk nicely. Even if you kill me, you won't be able to leave here alive. At the crucial moment, Li Si still gave up. He couldn't accept dying in such a humiliating way. I can only live if I kill you. If I keep you alive, I will definitely die. Shang-Chi sneered. This Li Si really thought that he was a kid who didn't know anything. For someone like Li Si who was so powerful, you should either kill him to prevent future troubles, or never offend him. Especially the words that Li Si said just now. Shang-Chi treated it like a fart. Li Si was a politician, and politicians had always been masters at talking. Their tricks of fooling people were unfathomable, and their promises were worthless. Go to hell. Shang-Chi's huge body leaped up and swung his greatsword, Great Ravager. Pucci, Li Si, who didn't even have the strength to truss a chicken, was no match for Shang-Chi. A bloody hole appeared on his chest. Shang-Chi noticed that although the wound on Li Si was bleeding, it was shallow and not fatal. It couldn't take Li Si's life at all. As for the reason, damn it, Shang-Chi continued to exert his strength, wanting to pierce through Li Si's chest. However, he noticed that there was a cold figure standing in front of Juk. Zhao Gao. Shang-Chi's pupil shrank. This mysterious man with an evil aura was the boss of the trap, Zhao Gao. Shang-Chi, I asked you to assassinate Zichun. Who would have thought that you would become so powerful? You actually came to assassinate the Prime Minister and even hurt him. Your cheap life is not as good as the Prime Minister's even if you die 100 times. Zhao Gao's eyes emitted a dangerous light. Shang-Chi, who was being stared at, felt a strong pressure. If Shang-Chi was an awe-inspiring tiger that could be said to be invincible, then Zhao Gao was an unfathomable hunter. He only had one attitude towards this beast that was struggling on the verge of death: contempt. Retreat for now. Looking at Zhao Gao and Li Si with hatred in his eyes, Shang-Chi decisively chose to retreat. If the 6 sword slaves came, he would be dead for sure. The moonlight was like a plate, and the sky was dotted with stars. Dustless and Duanmu Rong sat side by side peacefully on the roof of the thatched hut. The atmosphere was harmonious as they looked up at the sky. Sometimes I really envy the stars in the sky. They can live a carefree life for the rest of their lives. It's so comfortable. Duanmu Rong rested her chin on her hands, looking forward to the future. There's nothing to be envious about. Dustless said calmly, a carefree life can frighten others, but the price is the loneliness of being isolated from the world. Everything has its pros and cons. What we see is often the most beautiful side. You're right. Duanmu nodded his head and sighed. He naturally understood the meaning behind Dustless's words. As one of the few commanders of the Mo family, there was no need to doubt his intelligence. Are you saying that the Mo family is the same as the stars in the sky? Dustless didn't answer. He just said to himself, in a chaotic world, it's good to have enough to eat and drink. The future of chivalry is uncertain in this era. It's too extravagant for ordinary people who can't even fill their stomachs. If they can't even fill their stomachs, who has the time to talk about chivalry? Don't you think it's childish? You. Hearing this, Duanmu Rong rolled her eyes at Dustless and muttered, you seem to be saying that the Mo family was born in the wrong era? Exactly. Dustless admitted frankly. Then he narrowed his eyes and recalled his life and his previous life. He vaguely remembered that in the 21st century, even though Qin Shi Huang burned books and destroyed Confucianism, Confucianism was still preserved. It was the same for the other sects in the 100 schools of thought. For example, Taoism, legalism, military, medicine, and other sects were still preserved in the era before Dustless transmigrated. Only the Mo family wasn't there. The fundamental reason was that the existence of everything had a certain rigid requirement. The Mo family emphasized non-aggression and universal love. These political ideas were not the same as the ancient emperors. Therefore, the side that was attacked would prefer the Mo family. It was better for them to make peace. However, as the attacking side, they wouldn't be able to take the cities and benefits. That was impossible. Therefore, the Mo family still had a certain value in the spring and autumn warring states period. However, this value didn't mean much after Qin unified the world. Human sovereign Qin's legalism. Therefore, There was the burning of books and the destruction of Confucianism. The books that were burned contained the thoughts of the Mo family. This basically cut off the Mo family's path of retreat. It wasn't until the emperor of the unified Han dynasty, Emperor Wu of Han, dismissed the 100 schools of thought and only respected Confucianism. From this era to the next 2,000 years, the Mo family gradually faded away until it was completely wiped out. At this moment, Dustless suddenly felt his knees become much heavier. He looked down and saw Duanmu Rong lying on his knees with a lazy expression. "You'll catch a cold if you sleep here." Sensing that the weather was getting colder, Dustless couldn't help but remind her. "A cold." Duanmu Rong smiled and pouted her thin lips playfully. "I'm the Mo family's medical sage. How can I catch a cold? You're underestimating me. If you don't believe me, you can take my pulse." "You can't say that." The words that were about to come out of his mouth suddenly stopped. Dustless's eyes turned. He sensed that Duanmu Rong's words had a hidden meaning. Thinking about it carefully, there were other meanings worth guessing. Where could he take her pulse? Of course, it couldn't be on a cold night. Duanmu Rong was hinting that he should send her back to her room. Wu Chen smiled faintly. He jumped up and carried Duanmu Rong to the ground and went back to the room. When a girl asked you to send her home, it meant that the wood had already been turned into a boat and the raw rice could be cooked into rice. Chapter 1894. The ancients' way of thinking is really troublesome sometimes. Seeing Duanmu Rong with her eyes closed and her face red, Dustless could only sigh that she was too reserved. If he wasn't an old fox who had lived for hundreds of years, he might have missed this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. After all, the meaning Duanmu Rong wanted to express was too vague. Confucius said, "Food and lust are human nature." Mencius said, Confucius said. The general meaning was food and drink, men and women. One was a matter of life, and the other was a matter of sex. The so-called food and drink was a matter of people's livelihood. Men and women were matters of health and pleasure. Life couldn't be separated from these two things. Both were necessary for human survival. It was enough to show that the ancients were far more open-minded than imagined, especially since this sentence was said by Confucius. Then Dustless, as the third master of the little sage manor, had to follow the meaning of the sage. Crack! Dustless broke in, threw Duanmu Rong on the bedding, and violently tore her clothes. Duanmu Rong's face was red, and she felt cold, but her eyes were still closed. Her hands tightly grasped the bedding, and she looked very nervous and flustered. But it was worth mentioning that she didn't resist and didn't even say a word. Obviously, Duanmu Rong acquiesced to Dustless's next actions. It's just as I guessed. Dustless was secretly pleased. Seeing Duanmu Rong's pink and shy cheeks, she seemed to be very embarrassed. Huff! Taking a deep breath, Dustless was about to tear down the last barrier between himself and Duanmu Rong. But unfortunately, the ear-piercing voice that made him vomit blood instantly echoed in his ears. Although the pleasant voice was very pleasant and very gentle, Dustless's heart was burning wildly, and he had an impulse to kill. He angrily turned his head and saw a stunned Shirlan. She was staring blankly at Duanmu Rong, who was lying on the bedding with her clothes torn, and Dustless, whose face was like a black pot. Did I disturb the two of you? If I have offended you, please forgive me." Shirlan's soft face flushed red, and she finally understood why Dustless was glaring at her with gritted teeth. "Mother asterisk cur, you're not just guilty, you should be struck by lightning. Do you know what it means to have a night of love worth 1,000 gold? He should go to hell for interrupting others." Wu Chen's heart was filled with 100,000 alpaca army. His cheeks were twitching wildly. When Duanmu Rong sensed Shirlan's presence, she hurriedly covered her face with her hands. At the same time, she said in an extremely embarrassed manner, "Shirlan, don't misunderstand. It's not what you think." In the end, Duanmu Rong Yue found it hard to continue. She glared at Dustless fiercely, as if saying, "All the mistakes were caused by you, the jinx. It's an unlucky year." Dustless became even more depressed when he saw this. He looked at Sherlan with a resentful expression, like a resentful woman who was in her room, causing goosebumps to rise all over Sherlan's body. By the way, I forgot. You should take the medicine. Duanmu Rong showed an apologetic look and then left with Sherlan. In the dark room, only Dustless was left with a bitter face. Fate likes to play tricks on people like this. After a moment of silence, Dustless exhaled heavily, and the flame in his heart gradually extinguished. Anyway, his relationship with Duanmu Rong has been indirectly made clear. That layer of window paper will be broken sooner or later. It's just a matter of time. It's almost time to let that kid out. His pupils suddenly turned, revealing scarlet, eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. Dustless shouted, "Kamui! Ka!" The void in front of him cracked like a mirror, and a miniature vortex gradually enlarged, spreading to the surrounding space, and finally turned into a large black hole, and then a black shadow swept out from it. Go to hell. The moment this mysterious black shadow flashed, it launched an indiscriminate attack on Dustless, and its stone-like fist directly smashed towards Dustless's face. It's better for you to put away your punches. Easily catching the incoming fist, Dustless explained, "Yuziki, don't you want to see your sister? She has been waiting for you. You Inyang School's lackey." Who would have thought that after Dustless's words fell, Yuziki not only showed no signs of stopping, but also attacked more fiercely. Although his right hand was subdued by Dustless, his free left fist swept towards the side. "You are brother?" The familiar and intimate voice caused Yuziki's movements to stop instantly. He turned his head to look at the source of the voice, and what he saw was Sherlan's excited face. Sherlan was about to eat Duanmu Rong's elixir, but who would have thought that there would be a noise coming from Dustless's side? She and Duanmu Rong hurried over, but the troublemaker was not an enemy, but her brother, whom Sherlan had been worried about. "Little you, Sherlan, do you know this Inyang School's lackey?" Yuziki was surprised and happy, and at the same time, he stared at Dustless fiercely. The contrast between his attitude before and after was not flattering. "Your attitude changed so fast. Yuziki, is this how you talk to your savior?" Dustless poured himself a cup of tea and said lazily, "If it weren't for me, you would have become Yin Zhongjuan's meal now. He is very interested in you." "What do you mean?" Yuziki frowned and asked in puzzlement. When they were on the Mirage, Dustless directly used a strange move to swallow him into a mysterious space without saying goodbye. Therefore, Yuziki labeled Dustless as an enemy. Chapter 1895. What do you mean? Dustless looked at Yuziki sympathetically. "Smart all your life, but stupid this time." This sentence was not false at all. "Why did Yin Zhongjuan capture you? You should know this better than me, right?" Dustless sat on the chair and explained, "You were made into the leader of the medicine men by Yin Zhongjuan." Seeing Yuziki's confused expression, Dustless knew what had happened. Yin Zhongjuan had turned Yuziki into a medicine man previously, causing this fellow's memory to be blurred. He had probably forgotten everything that had happened before. The only thing he remembered was probably Sherlan. "The two of you can catch up for the time being. Sherlan, don't forget to take your medicine." Seeing the excited siblings, Dustless also pulled Duanmu Rong away. The siblings were catching up. If he and Duanmu Rong, two outsiders, joined in, wouldn't it cause gossip? "Is that Sherlan's brother?" After glancing at Yuziki, Duanmu Rong looked at Dustless in surprise and said meaningfully, "I heard that Yin Zhongjuan has an extraordinary status in the Inyang School. Since you can get someone from him, it seems that your status in the Inyang School is not low either." It's more than not low. At this point, Wu Chan could not help but feel proud of himself. He raised a finger and said, "I've only gone to the Inyang School on the first day, and I've already snatched Xinghun's position. I'm a left guardian now. Let's not talk about this for now. You must have noticed something, right?" Duanmu Rong suddenly narrowed her eyes and said with great concern, "I keep feeling that Zhang Liang of the Confucian School is deliberately targeting you. Don't tell me you don't realize it." "Of course, I know this." Dustless held Duanmu Rong's little hand. The latter did not resist. Since the relationship between the two of them had been made clear, Duanmu Rong would not reject Dustless. Instead, she felt very comfortable being held by Dustless. That brat's identity as the third master was snatched by me. Especially, Dustless sneered and said disdainfully, Zhang Liang wholeheartedly wanted to pull the Confucians into the anti-Qin alliance. But because of my sudden rise, the Confucians and the Yinyang school temporarily formed an alliance, and Zhang Liang's plan became a distant dream. Naturally, that kid hates me to death. Dustless was extremely clear about this. There was no possibility of reconciliation between him and Zhang Liang. Speaking of which, when you went to the Yinyang school, did you see Yu? Thinking of Yu, Duanmu Rong's voice became several times louder. In this world, the only people she still cared about were Yu and Dustless. As for the people of the Mo family, Duanmu Rong's heart was gradually filled with despair. Ever since Master Ban said that he would sacrifice himself to win over Dustless, Duanmu Rong's feelings for the Mo family had become indifferent. Maybe it's just like what you said. Being anti-Qin will only make the world more chaotic. Duanmu Rong saw it lightly, and her hatred for the Qin state dissipated a lot. Rong, actually, there's a problem that I don't understand. Dustless raised his eyebrows and said doubtfully, Gao Jinli hates the Qin state because his elder brother, Jing Ku, was killed by the Qin state. As for your reason, do you still need to say this? Glancing at Dustless impatiently, Duanmu Rong said bluntly, Once you enter a noble family, you are as deep as the ocean. Ever since the previous great son, Yin Dan, became a great son, the Mo family began to target the Qin state. I was also affected. The Mo family was not like this in the past. That's true. Dustless's eyes suddenly brightened. Only then did he remember a big thing that he had forgotten. He immediately sneered and said, Yin Dan, that guy, is really not a good person. You. Hearing this, Duanmu Rong's watery eyes widened slightly. She looked extremely dissatisfied. After all, he was a dead person. Rong, don't you think it's strange? The great son of the Mo family before Yin Dan, Six-Fingered Black Man, did not intend to go against the Qin state when he was still a great son. In fact, the period of Six-Fingered Black Man and the period of Yin Dan were completely different. Six-Fingered Black Man firmly believed in the non-aggressive way and had no interest in opposing the Qin state. When he was still a great son, the Mo family had always maintained a neutral position. However, it was obviously different when Yin Dan was still a great son. They had turned from a neutral camp to opposing the Qin state and were always targeting the Qin state. Don't tell me. Six-Fingered Black Man was killed by Yin Dan's conspiracy? Duanmu Rong looked at Dustless anxiously. Noticing her abyss-like, terrifying eyes, she suddenly felt a little scared. Do you think it's impossible? Some people want Six-Fingered Black Man to die earlier. After he died, Yin Dan would become the new great son of the Mo family. As the crown prince of the Yin kingdom, he would definitely oppose the Qin state. This is beneficial for some people, isn't it? Dustless looked at Duanmu Rong calmly, and then said something shocking. The culprit who killed Six-Fingered Black Man was actually concubine Yin of the school of Yinyang. She is also Yu-Er's mother and Yin Dan's wife. At first, Yin Dan had been trying to persuade Six-Fingered Black Man to join the anti-Qin alliance. However, Six-Fingered Black Man was not interested. Wasn't it suicidal for a sect to want to fight against the power of a country? Six-Fingered Black Man was not wrong. However, concubine Yin, who was deeply in love with Yin Dan, wanted to fulfill her husband's long-cherished wish. She used the Six Souls Fear curse and directly caused Six-Fingered Black Man's death. How do you know these secrets? Duanmu Rong was shocked. Even she, the commander of the Mo family, didn't know about this. However, Dustless knew so clearly. Don't forget my current identity. I am the left guardian of the school of Yinyang. My status is on par with the moon goddess and only second to Dong Wang Tai. Wu Chun casually found a reason to prevaricate. This was completely nonsense. How do you know Six-Fingered Black Man was killed by concubine Yin? This was a benefit that the time-traveling party thought was a foresight. Chapter 1896. Duanmu Rong wanted to argue, but she found herself speechless. Yin Dan had been trying to persuade the Mo family to join the anti-Qin alliance, but Six-Fingered Black Warrior was not interested. Then, Six-Fingered Black Warrior died suddenly, and the leader of the Mo family was replaced by Yin Dan. The person who killed Six-Fingered Black Warrior was Yin Dan's wife, concubine Yin. Are you saying that Yin Dan instigated concubine Yin to kill Six-Fingered Black Warrior? Duanmu Rong clenched her fists with a complicated expression. If that was the case, then the Mo family was much more sinister than she thought. I didn't say that. It's all your own guess. Wu Chen shrugged and drew a clear line at once. He said frankly, I don't know whether it was Yin Dan who instigated it or not. But there's one thing I'm 100% sure about. The person who secretly plotted to kill Six-Fingered Black Warrior is concubine Yin. I'm telling you the truth because I want you to understand. Dustless paused for a moment and said in a low voice, no organization, no force is clean. Where there's light, there's darkness. This will never change. Everyone in the world has their own selfishness. It's human nature to fight for benefits. Besides, the word organization itself is derogatory. Then why did you join the Enyang school? Duanmu Rong changed the topic and pointed the contradiction at Dustless. She said faintly, I heard that young Master Ming is so beautiful that you lost your sense of direction, right? Am I the kind of person who's lustful? Wu Chun rolled his eyes when he heard this, and then he chuckled and replied with a question. Of course, perhaps I've really been bewitched by young Master Ming to the point of being unable to find my bearings, but I still found you. What does this mean? Even if I'm coaxed by young Master Ming, the one who really occupies the most important place in my heart is still you. Loquacious. No one will believe such childish words. Duanmu Rong snorted softly and turned her head away. Even though she said so, Dustless could clearly see the bright light that flashed in the depths of her eyes. Just now, Sherlon ruined all the good things for me. This time, I must take it back with interest. Staring at Duanmu Rong's plump figure, Wu Chen's heart was itching. Rong, it's getting late. Let's go and rest. Dustless stood in front of Duanmu Rong. With a flattering smile on his face, he said, You said you wanted me to take your pulse, right? I have indeed discovered that you are not feeling well. Let me take a look at you. After saying that, Wu Chun grabbed Duanmu Rong's arm with both hands. Pa! However, Duanmu Rong impolitely slapped Dustless's hand away and said angrily, Pulse? I'm really sorry, but after being frightened by Sherlon, my body is already recovered. Damn it. Hearing this, Dustless wanted to cry, but had no tears. He could not help but curse in his heart. It's too easy for Sherlon to go to hell. That damn girl dared to disturb my good deed. It's not too much for her to go through the 18 levels of hell. How dare she ruin my good deed? No. Dustless shook his finger as an idea came to him. I see that your glabella is black, and there's a surge of black gas between your eyebrows. You are obviously sick. Glabella is black, and there's a surge of black gas between my eyebrows. Hearing this, Duanmu Rong was stunned for a moment. She touched her eyebrows with her right arm and asked suspiciously, The symptoms you're talking about, are you poisoned? This is not important. Anyway, you only need to know that such a terrible condition can only be treated by me. Dustless then remembered that Duanmu Rong was called the fairy doctor. He quickly corrected himself and said, Sick and poisoned are the same. A small illness can develop into a serious illness. A small dike can destroy 1,000 miles of dike. Narrow cracks are often caused by indulgence. You must be treated as soon as possible. Is it as serious as you say? Duanmu Rong was even more suspicious. Frankly speaking, she was not feeling well recently, but she always thought it was caused by overwork. So, let's go back to the room now, and let me take your pulse. Dustless finished his words and dragged Duanmu Rong to the cottage. A doctor can treat others, but he can't treat himself. This kind of thing must be done by me. Duanmu Rong was hesitant. Seeing Dustless's resolute expression, she finally complied with his wish. However, As soon as she stepped into the room with Dustless, Duanmu Rong instantly regretted it. Dustless first pretended to be reserved, then finally made a shameful request. Did taking the pulse need to be done all over the body? Duanmu Rong expressed that she, the fairy doctor, didn't know, but the arm couldn't twist the leg. In the end, Dustless revealed the most primitive side of a living creature, breaking the window between him and Duanmu Rong, and the two completely merged into one. Dustless took away her most precious thing inexplicably. At first, Duanmu Rong was very resistant. However, as the saying goes, 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 the devil is 10. After all, Dustless was an old monster who had lived for hundreds of years. In addition to his terrifying strength, he was also a profound talker. Under the attack of sweet words and flowery words, Duanmu Rong finally threw away her helmet and threw in the towel. Moreover, the two originally admired each other before, but the ancient people were thin-skinned. If he waited for Duanmu Rong to open her mouth, he would have to wait until the next life. Anyway, Dustless's skin was as thick as the city wall, so it didn't hurt to take the initiative to open her mouth. The next morning, when they woke up, it was already late in the morning. Last night, for the sake of safety, Dustless painfully set up a barrier, so that Dustless and Duanmu Rong hugged each other to sleep without being disturbed. When they woke up, the sun was already burning their buttocks. "It's all your fault." Duanmu Rong angrily threw a pillow at Dustless's face. She found that she was staggering when she walked, and her face couldn't help but become a little hot. On that jade face, there was still a lingering lust. Chapter 1897. Dustless did not mind. Duanmu Rong had suffered a great loss, so it was only right for him to take advantage of her verbally. "How is Shirlan's poison?" "She seems to be fine." Dustless asked as he put on his clothes. "Yes, she is almost fully recovered. Are you going to bring her away?" Duanmu Rong also wore her clothes with difficulty. Compared to Wu Chun, who was full of vigor, she who was tormented for a night, her whole body was filled with indescribable exhaustion. Her bones were sore and soft, and even standing up had pressure. "You should continue to rest. If you have to put on your clothes..." "Hee, why don't I help you?" Smack! Dustless had just reached out his hands when Duanmu Rong slapped them away. "You don't know how to be romantic at all. How nice it would be to go back to sleep again." Dustless pursed his lips and retracted his hands unhappily. At the same time, Duanmu Rong had also put on her clothes and tidied up her appearance. Dustless then removed the outer boundary. A figure that had been waiting for a long time appeared in front of them. "Snow Lady?" Wu Chun and Duanmu Rong looked at each other. They were very surprised. Seeing her anxious look, they guessed that she had been waiting for a long time. "Dustless, you have to do me a favor." Seeing Dustless and Duanmu Rong walk out of the room, the Snow Lady completely ignored Duanmu Rong's existence and pounced on them. "Help me kill Xinghan. I will do anything you want." Of course. Looking at the Snow Lady with dark circles under her eyes, Wu Chen guessed that she must have been so upset that she didn't sleep the entire night. Wu Chen couldn't help but feel ashamed. After all, he was the mastermind behind Gao Jinli's death. As for Xinghan, he was the scapegoat. But Dustless paused for a moment as he recalled his plan. He continued, "It will be difficult for me to do it in the near future. Anyway, I will definitely help you kill Xinghan in the future." "Thank you." Only then did a hint of joy appear on the Snow Maiden's haggard face. Gao Jinli's sudden death was a huge blow to her. "Snow Lady, you have to learn to be strong. If Xinghan finds out that he killed Gao Jinli, and you also become muddle-headed and despairing, that fellow will laugh even in his dreams." Dustless reminded him sternly and shamelessly pushed everything to Xinghan. "You're right. I can't continue to feel down." The Snow Lady's body shook when she heard this. She gritted her teeth and said, "I must settle the score with that bastard Xinghan." "That would be great." Dustless nodded. After that, he gazed at the scorching sun and the blue sky. He suddenly realized that it was getting late, and he gave the snow maiden a few more words of encouragement before he left. As for the group of people from Mo clan, Lu Sha from Wei Zhuang, and other anti-Qin forces, they were all discussing a plan to deal with Ingzheng. Ever since Old Ban had deciphered the Black Dragon Scroll, everyone had learned of its contents. On the 18th of next month, the first emperor would tour the East. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and the anti-Qin alliance naturally wouldn't let it go so easily. After a series of planning, a meticulous plan was quietly completed. Zhang Liang even forgot about Dustless's question. However, what they didn't know was that this was just a bait for Dustless to annihilate them. The first emperor's tour of the East was also a lie. The person who would replace Ingzheng was Xinghan. This was also the main reason why Dustless didn't want to kill Xinghan at the moment. Dustless strolled along the crowded streets alone. Shang-Chi? I've heard of this fellow before. He's very powerful. He's been imprisoned many times, but he always managed to escape. So what? He's still a stray dog now. He actually dared to assassinate the Prime Minister, Li Si. He's got guts. 1,000,000 taels of gold. The price of this bounty is really sky high. Dustless saw a large number of people gathering in front of him. Out of curiosity, he walked over. The bounty of Shang-Chi and the crazy price immediately appeared before his eyes. His head is worth 1,000,000 taels of gold. So expensive? After glancing at it, Dustless felt strange and left. He thought to himself, Li Si is the Prime Minister of the Qin Kingdom. He's second only to the Prime Minister. Only by successfully assassinating him can one get such a sky-high price. However, it was worth mentioning that Li Si might have really been angered this time. Not only was Shang-Chi wanted, but even the sect he used to belong to, the Farmer sect, was also wanted. However, there were many disciples of the Farmer sect, and it was impossible for all of them to be wanted. Only some of the important leaders had become criminals with a huge bounty. Seriously, I've gotten the Yellowstone Heavenly Book that Ling asked me to, but I still haven't found the 7 mansions of the Azure Dragon. On the quiet path, Dustless sighed in annoyance. The Yellowstone Heavenly Book had been given to Sun Zi of the Confucian School for reference. As for the 7 mansions of the Azure Dragon, Dustless still hadn't found them. Wu Qin's footsteps suddenly stopped, and he glanced back. Suddenly, a sneer appeared on his face. Still not coming out? If you can deceive me with such a concealment skill, do you think I can still be alive? Cough, cough. After a long silence, the burly man who was coughing violently walked out of the alley. Looking at him carefully, it was Shang-Chi, who was full of wounds. According to the agreement, I assassinated Zhao Gao. He was injured, but unfortunately, he didn't die. Shang-Chi was quite miserable at the moment. His body was full of wounds. You have to provide me a place to recover, or I will tell others that Zichen is Dustless. Seeing Dustless was silent, Shang-Chi threatened loudly. Your injuries are caused by being hunted down, right? Dustless sneered. The light in his hand floated, and the heavenly sword of gathering clouds was compressed in an instant. His body flashed, and under Shang-Chi's surprised gaze, he turned into a streamer and appeared in front of him instantly. Pucci, the light that swept out, cut Shang-Chi's head into pieces. Blood gushed out from his neck. Shang-Chi probably didn't even know how he died. The speed was too fast. He didn't even have the chance to draw his sword. You are just a chess piece. How dare you threaten me? I. Chapter 1898. The light that swept out forcefully chopped off Shang-Chi's head. Blood immediately gushed out from his neck. Shang-Chi probably didn't even know how he died. It was too fast. He didn't even have the chance to draw his sword. You're just a chess piece. How dare you threaten me? Dustless didn't even look at Shang-Chi's corpse as he left. Shang-Chi was simply too stupid. If Dustless was Shang-Chi, he would simply find a place to hide. From then on, he wouldn't care about the complicated matters of the world and could still live freely. However, Shang-Chi was too stupid. He had to find Dustless to die and even threaten Dustless. He was a typical example of someone who didn't want to live. Amaterasu. Dustless suddenly stopped walking. He turned his head, and Shang-Chi's corpse instantly burned with black flames. The corpse quickly evaporated until it was reduced to ashes. Amaterasu then disappeared. Shang-Chi had also completely disappeared from this world. Inside the Sage Manor, Dustless was enjoying the beautiful scenery. The cool breeze was extremely comfortable. He was leisurely strolling around the pavilions. Now that Dustless was the third head of the Confucian school, no one dared to gossip about him. You too. Raising his eyebrows slightly, Wu Chan saw two suspicious figures not far away. Then he called out softly, "Zimming Ziyu, what you two doing?" Dustless, who was standing with his hands behind his back, slowly walked over. He discovered that these sneaky Confucian disciples were Tianming and Xiaoyu. In the Confucian school, their current identities were Zimming and Ziyu. Dustless, as one of the few people who knew Dustless's identity, Tianming and Xiaoyu were quite surprised. The two of them opened their mouths and were about to explain when Dustless gave them a slap. "Slap, slap. You two brats, you have to call me third master in the future. Do you understand?" Dustless's face was filled with pride. His eyes were filled with threats and teasing. "You bastard." Xiaoyu and Tianming were both enraged when they heard that. Just when they were about to flare up, Dustless glared at them viciously. They could only suppress their discomfort and obediently say, "Greetings, third teacher." The two of them felt particularly sullen and depressed. Not long ago, Dustless had been of the same generation as them. Now, he had suddenly become their third grandmaster. Just thinking about it made Tianming and Xiaoyu feel stifled. The gap between them was just too great. Very good. Seeing this, Dustless nodded in satisfaction. Then, he followed the direction that the two of them were looking at. Who is that? Dustless was surprised to find that a beautiful woman, wearing a palace dress, was talking to the leader of the scholarly faction, but because the distance was too far, he could only see a vague outline. As a last resort, Dustless revealed the Tensigan, allowing him to see everything within a radius of 50 kilometers. Even the slightest movement in the wind and grass could be seen clearly. Concubine Yin, with a touch of surprise on his face, Dustless thought to himself, why did she come to the scholarly faction? It seems that no one has a relationship with her. I don't remember Fu Yin knowing her. You two, come over here. Looking at Tianming and Xiaoyu, Dustless hooked his finger. Although the two of them were unhappy, they still walked over. When did that woman come? Dustless squatted down, stared into the eyes of the two, lowered his head, and asked, "How long has Fu Yin been talking with her?" "It seems to be an hour ago." The two of them have been talking for almost an hour. Tianming and Xiaoyu looked at each other and said in unison, "Okay, you two can leave." Dustless waved his hand, indicating that the two of them could leave. It's really strange. Dustless also turned to leave, looking deeply at Concubine Yin. According to the information obtained by Yueshin and Great Si Ming, Concubine Yin, who was imprisoned on the Mirage, seemed to have made some kind of secret deal with Dongwang Tai. The content was probably to secretly deal with Dustless. It's better to find a time to test Concubine Yin. Last time, I promised you her to save her. With a plan in mind, Dustless also left quietly as if he didn't see anything. As for the purpose of Concubine Yin's visit, he had already guessed what it was. The scholarly faction was quite powerful in the Mulberry Sea. She was probably asking Fu Yin to provide information about Dustless. However, the funny thing was that Zichen was Dustless, and he was also the left guardian of the school of Yinyang. Moreover, he had appeared right under Concubine Yin's nose. Unfortunately, she didn't realize Dustless's identity at that time. Time flew by. 3 days later, in the evening, Dustless, who was bored, went to the Mirage to find young Si Ming to catch up. His identity now was different from before. He was the left guardian of the school of Yinyang. Therefore, he could enter and leave the Mirage at will. Some people's every move could not escape Dustless's eyes. When he learned that Concubine Yin had left the Mirage again, Dustless stopped chatting with young Si Ming and secretly followed her. Just as I guessed, Concubine Yin has been looking for me. In the dark night, the chilly wind blew. When Dustless saw concubine Yan's figure and stopped in front of a wall full of wanted posters, the confusion in his eyes suddenly disappeared. This woman is really childish and naive sometimes. Is she really the first extraordinary woman of the school of Yin-Yang, Dongwang? Or is it that married women are all very emotional and have erased their original personality? Dustless's heart was full of emotions. He was sure that Dongwang Tai and concubine Yin had reached some kind of deal. According to concubine Yan's temperament, there was no doubt that she loved Yu very much. Dongwang Tai might use this as a breakthrough. For example, as long as concubine Yin killed Dustless, he would let her and her mother reunite. He would use such conditions to threaten concubine Yin. She really treats Dongwang Tai as a kind person. Dustless couldn't help but shake his head. After hesitating for a few seconds, he finally took the initiative to go forward and tell concubine Yin the reason. Chapter 1899. You looking up at the sky, the deep night sky stretched as far as the eye could see. The moonlight was like a plate, and the cold moonlight made people shiver. Concubine Yin, who was sad, stood alone and did not fit in with the dead silence around her, as if she came from another world and was full of sadness. For countless nights, concubine Yin would dream of living in harmony with Yin Dan and Yu as a family. It was very warm and harmonious, and they lived a happy family life. But dreams were just dreams, after all. They were just illusions caused by longing. They were far from reality. This young lady, why are you all alone on such a long night? Do you want to have a drink with me? However, before Dustless could finish his nonsense, concubine Yin just glanced at Dustless coldly with a warning look and walked away. Her eyes were full of disgust, and she was telling him that if he dared to follow her, she would kill him without mercy. Is there something wrong with this woman's head? How dare she ignore me? Seeing that concubine Yin treated him like air, Dustless was petrified. In order to expose his identity, he deliberately tore off Zichen's disguise and met concubine Yin with his original appearance. However, concubine Yin turned a blind eye to him. She just glanced at Dustless and left in a hurry. Is concubine Yan's target not me? Staring at concubine Yan's gradually disappearing figure, Dustless finally gritted his teeth and decisively chased after her. At the same time, he was speechless and complained in his heart. Is this woman crazy from longing? I am the prey she wants to catch even in her dreams. I am blocking her way, but concubine Yin turns a deaf ear to me. Where did she get the courage to be so willful? He had always been the one to ignore others. This time, he was ignored by concubine Yin. Dustless was furious. He turned into a gust of wind and chased after her. I am Dustless, your sworn enemy, the sworn enemy of your Yin-Yang school and the Qin kingdom. Blocking concubine Yan's way again, Dustless simply revealed his identity with an arrogant look. There are so many hopeless young people these days. Which wanted criminal would reveal his identity in front of the enemy? You must be crazy. Concubine Yin just glanced at Dustless and felt bored. Then, under Dustless's surprised gaze, she floated away. Other than you everyone in your family is mentally ill. Dustless was extremely depressed, and just as he was about to reiterate his identity, his eyes suddenly lit up, and he hurriedly shouted, You and I have a very good relationship. She has entrusted me with an important matter. Sure enough, the sudden words made concubine Yin stop as if she had been electrocuted. She turned her head to look at the smiling Dustless, and her pupils suddenly shrank. Those eyes, his gaze was fixed on Dustless's left eye. Within the eye socket, 9 pitch-black magatama could be clearly seen. The eyeball had also turned purple, and circles of black ripples were drifting outwards. It was the rebirth Sharingan. Are you really Dustless? Was he crazy? Not only did he dare to appear in front of me, he even revealed his identity? What on earth are you up to? Concubine Yin's tone suddenly rose several times. Her face was full of shock, and her mind was in a mess. Looking at the calm Dustless, she couldn't help but frown and say, "Since this guy knows that he is a wanted criminal of the Empire, why did he dare to come to me? Does he want to betray me?" It was not Concubine Yan's fault that they didn't recognize Wuchen before. The fundamental reason was that Wuchen's appearance on the wanted poster was very different from Wuchen's appearance. They only had 20 to 30% similarity. Moreover, no one would have thought that a wanted traitor would suddenly appear under their noses. At this moment, the reason why she was sure that the person in front of her was Dustless was because of the purple rebirth Sharingan. When Dustless defeated Xinghun, he used his dojutsu to tease Xinghun. In the internal meeting of the Yin-Yang school, Xinghun also mentioned Dustless's dojutsu, so Concubine Yin paid more attention. Realizing that Concubine Yin finally recognized him, Dustless said with great hesitation, "If the soldiers of the Qin Kingdom were as careless as you, they would have been wiped out long ago. Are you really Concubine Yin of the Yin-Yang school, who even the moon goddess is afraid of?" "You!" Concubine Yan's white face was slightly red, and her phoenix-like eyes were burning with anger. She was very angry by Dustless's words. "I'm curious. You know that I'm Dong Hun of the Yin-Yang school, but you still dare to come to me. Are you going to repent? This is actually not bad. With your strength, if you join the Yin-Yang school, you may be put in an important position. I don't need you to tell me." Dustless laughed in his heart. When he pretended to be Zi Chun, wasn't his identity the left guardian of the Yin-Yang school? "If you want to catch me, go somewhere else. This is not the right place." Glancing at the mechanical bats flying in the sky, Dustless didn't care whether Concubine Yin agreed or not. His body moved like the wind and rushed out of the city where there were few people. Dustless still had a lot of questions to ask Concubine Yin. It was a waste of time to stay here. Sooner or later, he would be discovered by the patrolling guards. It would be troublesome if he attracted unnecessary flies. This boy, he is so young, but his strength is so strong. He is even stronger than Xinghun. Concubine Yin, who was chasing Dustless's back at full speed, saw his fleeting speed and became silent. Not to mention the others. Even she found it extremely difficult to catch up with him. What does this mean? Is he deliberately going easy on me? Is he looking down on me? Is he slowing down and waiting for me to catch up? This boy is hateful. Concubine Yin was secretly angry. All the hidden energy in her body burst out and gathered at the tip of her feet. She sped up and chased Dustless relentlessly. Passing by, she could only see a fleeting shadow. Every time Dustless and Concubine Yin put some distance between them, he would stop and rest for a while. When Concubine Yin closed the distance again, Dustless would run away. Concubine Yin was angry. He must be deliberately going easy on her. When had she ever been looked down upon like this? Chapter 1900. Outside Mulberry Sea City, far away from the bustling city, it was dead silent. The dark winter environment added a sense of fear and panic for no reason. The bone-chilling cold wind made people feel uncomfortable. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Using the weak and hazy moonlight, the two figures that were moving at full speed also stopped. Not running anymore, staring coldly at Dustless. Concubine Yin opened her eyes slightly and asked seriously, "What did your ask you to say?" "No, with your identity. How can you see you, Don't try to trick me. On the Mirage. Even I can't go in and out at will, let alone you, an enemy of the school of Yin-Yang. Some places are strictly forbidden, especially you Urs residents. And it seems that you have been following me all this time. How can an outsider know my whereabouts?" Realizing that something was wrong, Concubine Yan's expression changed drastically. She stared at Dustless and secretly gathered her internal force. As soon as she realized that something was wrong, she would launch a fatal attack to kill Dustless. At the same time, a terrible idea came to her mind, but she didn't dare to think about it. "I didn't know that you were so talkative. In fact, you asked so many questions in vain. Looking at your nervous face, you have already guessed it, haven't you?" Dustless's lips curled into a proud arc. His unruly eyes were filled with endless playfulness. "What kind of person can get close to you, Is there a need to ask? Of course, it's the school of Enyang. Why can I know your whereabouts? This is even simpler. That's because I'm also a member of the school of Enyang. Dustless looked at the shocked concubine Yin with a playful face and said flatly, "That's impossible." Concubine Yin denied without thinking and said loudly, "Even if you can sneak into the school of Enyang, it's impossible to get close to Yu-Er. Yu-Er's identity in the school of Enyang is extraordinary, unless..." Suddenly realizing something, concubine Yan's heart suddenly trembled. "Could it be that you are, just as you think?" With a playful smile, Dustless replied proudly, "My real identity is Fa Zichen, the left protector of the school of Enyang." In that case, wouldn't all the problems be solved? Wouldn't it be reasonable? It's precisely because I'm the left protector of the school of Enyang that I can come into contact with you at any time. I can also enter and exit the mirage at will. At the same time, I can also monitor your whereabouts at any time. Everything about you is under my control. You bastard, you actually hit it so deeply. Concubine Yan's face turned green. She clenched her fists tightly and almost spat out a mouthful of blood. She had been racking her brain for a way to capture Dustless every day. She had racked her brains and worked hard to find a way to capture him. But the ironic thing was, the enemy she wanted to capture, even in her dreams, was right in front of her eyes. He was even chatting and laughing with the people of the school of Enyang. He had even become the left guardian of the school of Enyang. Now, he was about to marry young Judge Ming. This traitor had reached such a terrifying position. Concubine Yin shuddered at the thought of it. Even Xing Han had been kicked out by Dustless. Perhaps this guy would become the new leader of the school of Enyang in the future. The East Lord of the school of Enyang had been played like a clown by this Dustless. All the accumulated anger in concubine Yan's heart exploded at this moment. Go to hell. The majestic inner strength in her body turned into a violent attack. Concubine Yan's body glowed with golden light. The endless night was as bright as day. Is it that boring Dragon Soul tour again? Feeling the familiar wave, Dustless felt bored. Yueshin and Xing Han had used this move before. There was nothing different. Its power was only slightly stronger than ordinary true Qi. For example, just like in Naruto, the Biju's chakra density is higher than that of humans, and the Biju's chakra is more destructive than humans, and the Soul Dragon's chakra is similar. Wait. Seeing that concubine Yan's attack was about to fly over, Dustless suddenly said, "Don't you want to know what you said to me?" This sentence was more effective than a panacea. Concubine Yan's majestic power disappeared in an instant. She asked anxiously, "What did yours say to you? Is she doing well?" "Of course she is. After all, I was the one who sent her to the school of Enyang. How could I let her suffer?" As for what she said, Silver's pupils changed, revealing his 3-tomo Sharingan. His eyes widened slightly, and the conversation with you that day was projected into concubine Yan's mind in the form of illusion. What you said was far clearer and more convincing than Dustless's explanation. That's good. After a while, Imperial concubine Yin came back to her senses and smiled brightly. Her smile was so beautiful that even Wu Chan was in a daze. "So what's your plan?" "You asked me to save you from the school of Enyang." Looking into concubine Yan's eyes, Dustless said bluntly, "You can find a place to live in seclusion. I will save you sooner or later." Live in seclusion? Hearing this, concubine Yin smiled bitterly. It was easy to say, but extremely difficult to do. Not to mention the power of the school of Enyang and the claws and teeth of the Qin kingdom. How could concubine Yin live in seclusion without worry? It was difficult to do. Dongwang Tai once threatened her that as long as she dared to disappear, he would secretly kill Yu-Er. Even if this was a lie to concubine Yin, she dared not gamble. After all, the bet was Yu-Er's life. If she lost, there would be no more. "Thank you for your kindness," but concubine Yan's eyes, which were originally calm, became piercingly cold again. Concubine Yin also looked at Wuchen with cold eyes. "But I have a new plan, which is safer than what you said." Chapter 1901. A New Plan. Dustless's eyes lit up. His interest was piqued. What's the plan? Tell me about it. It's simple. Concubine Yin looked at Dustless indifferently. She didn't hide the ambition on her face. I've exposed your identity. I've done my job well. Dong Wang Tai will keep his promise and let you and me leave the school of Yin Yang. We'll live a peaceful life. That's the stupid idea? So you're selling me out? Dustless looked at Concubine Yin casually and retorted, You're right. You is important to the school of Yin Yang. You should know better than me. Dong Wang Tai won't let her go. Besides, thinking of the creepy Dong Wang Tai, Dustless said, Do you think Dong Wang Tai is a man who keeps his promise? You think he'll let you and you go if you kill me? Wishful thinking. I don't care about that. Concubine Yin threw caution to the wind. Life was like that. It was impossible to have the best of both worlds. She could only choose the lesser of the two evils. Hum, hum, hum. A clear sound rang out. Looking straight ahead, Concubine Yin's body glowed brightly. Above her head, a strange three-legged bird slowly took shape. It's the three-legged golden crow, formed by the dragon's soul again. Looking at this move again, Dustless was no stranger to it. The last time he tamed the moon god, he also used the exact same move. Catch him! Concubine Yin yelled. She pointed at Dustless and tapped lightly. The three-legged golden crow above her head spread its wings and swooped down instantly. You're looking down on me. Chakra surged in his body. Dustless's eyes spun rapidly. Divine might. The moment he spat out those two short words, the void suddenly rippled as if it was being torn apart by some kind of undetectable but real power. Crack! Crack! A small black hole appeared, like a bottomless abyss. Under Concubine Yan's shocked gaze, the three-legged golden crow plunged into it. There was no more movement. It disappeared just like that. Concubine Yin was so shocked that her eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Who exactly is he? Dustless's moves are unbelievably strange, and he is also very mysterious. The school of Yin Yang racked their brains to investigate Dustless's background, but this guy is actually hiding within the school of Yin Yang, and he even became the left guardian. Concubine Yin looked embarrassed and regretted her decision. If she had listened to Dustless's advice, she might have been able to live a peaceful life with her son in the future. However, if she were to oppose Dustless now, Concubine Yin couldn't help but think of a way to end this battle with dignity. No, I can't admit defeat. Thinking of Yu-Er's pitiful face, Concubine Yin was furious. If you really like Yu-Er, you shouldn't have sent her to the Yin Yang school to suffer. Dustless was silent. He looked at Concubine Yin expressionlessly and did not refute her. This was indeed a risky move. It was undeniable that sending Yu-Er to the Yin Yang school was like sending a lamb to a tiger's den, and it might harm Yu-Er. However, as the saying goes, danger and opportunity often coexist. There is no free lunch in the sky. Everything has to be fought for by oneself. Only by going into the tiger's den can one reap the rewards. What's more, Yue Shen, who was responsible for teaching Yu-Er, was one of them, and so was Great Si Ming. Hum, hum. The clear sound spread again. This time, the light was even brighter. The night was dyed golden, and the light was so dazzling that it could blind people's eyes. Seeing that Dustless was silent, Concubine Yin felt that Dustless was showing a guilty conscience. Immediately, she launched a more violent attack. It was no longer a simple, three-legged golden crow, but a dazzling dozen of them. Weak. Seeing the three-legged golden crow soaring above Concubine Yan's head, Dustless smiled contemptuously. The deep eternal Mangekyo Sharingan was exposed again. Amaterasu, where Dustless's gaze was focused, a black flame burned without warning and instantly swallowed the dozen three-legged golden crows. The sacred light was also wrapped by the black flame and slowly disappeared. Ow, 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 ow. The arrogant cries of the three-legged golden crows turned into miserable howls and finally disappeared completely. Damn it, this kid is more evil than Xing Hun. Seeing this, Concubine Yin stomped her feet angrily. Even if Wu Chan just stood there motionlessly and let her attack, concubine Yin could do nothing. Is this the end? If you have any other moves, use them all together. Dustless put his hands in his sleeves and looked at concubine Yin quietly. Although this woman was cruel and cold, she was Yin Dan's wife. However, her temperament was the opposite of Yin Dan's. At least she liked you, and was not as cold and heartless as Yin Dan. No matter what, I will catch you and send you to Dongwang Tai. Concubine Yin gritted her teeth and stared at Dustless. She subconsciously clenched her fists. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Concubine Yin pounced on Jiang Chen again with a sharp sound. Not bad. Her crystal pupils glowed with indomitable courage, filled with a strange smell of death. Seeing this, Wu Chan showed a rare admiring expression and said with a smile, Concubine Yin, if Yueshin and Great Si Ming are my people, do you still plan to fight against me? Are you talking in your sleep? As soon as he said that, concubine Yin, who was rushing over, stopped in her tracks. Her beautiful eyes widened as she looked at the man who had a faint smile on his face from beginning to end. Yueshin and Great Si Ming are your men? Are you saying that they have already submitted to you? That's impossible. Do you think you are Dongwang Tai? But that's the truth. It only means that I am more charming than Dongwang Tai, and I am more worthy of their sacrifice. To put it bluntly, we are all on the same side. Dustless said with a hint of pride. He suddenly realized that he had almost dug through the corners of the school of Enyang. Chapter 1902. Concubine Yin was stunned by Dustless's shocking words. Her eyes were blank and her mind was numb. She stared at the calm Dustless, her clear eyes taking in everything. She didn't look guilty at all. You're saying that Yueshin and Great Si Ming have joined you. I can't accept this. Concubine Yin tried to accept Dustless's words, but no matter what, it was too surreal. After all, Yueshin and Great Si Ming were Dongwang Tai's best friends. If he wanted to trick them into betraying him, he might as well kill them. That would be more realistic. Concubine Yin, don't look suspicious. You have to understand that nothing is impossible in this world. Everything is full of unknown variables. Dustless explained in a low voice. You've also noticed Yu's recent situation in the school of Enyang, right? She didn't get hurt or lose her memories. Instead, her astrology skills are getting better and better. This already explains everything. It's because Yueshan is under my command that she takes good care of Yu. That's true. Concubine Yin nodded numbly. The one who taught you astrology was probably Yueshan. So, do you still want to fight me? Seeing concubine Yan's eyes flickering, Dustless knew that she was still making the final decision. You can't defeat me. Only by joining me and finding another way out and letting me become the new master of the school of Enyang will you and her daughter have a chance to break out of the cocoon and be reborn. By then, all your wishes will come true. The new master of the school of Enyang. Concubine Yin was stunned. She looked at Dustless in shock and asked in a trembling voice, Are you going to kill Dongwang Tai? As you said, it was impossible to make Dongwang Tai give up the location of the school of Enyang's boss. In that case, he can only take it by force. Find a suitable place and kill him. From then on, the school of Enyang will be my territory. That arrogant old man is too much of an eyesore. This guy is really black-hearted. Concubine Yan's expression changed slightly. Dongwang Tai had given Dustless the position of left guardian, which was already a great favor. Now this guy wanted to kill Dongwang Tai even more. Concubine Yin felt that Dustless was really vicious. I can't think of a reason why you want to kill Dongwang Tai. There's no need at all. You two shouldn't have any conflict of interest. Why? 7 mansions of the Azure Dragon. Dustless shut concubine Yin up with one sentence. He said coldly, Anyone who dares to meddle with the 7 mansions of the Azure Dragon is my enemy and must die. Moreover, he pulled me into the school of Enyang and gave me the position of left guardian. Wasn't he using me? Since that's the case, we're all in the same boat from now on. After thinking for a while, concubine, Yin finally decided to tie herself to Dustless's pirate ship. In fact, her heart was filled with hatred towards Dong Wang Tai. If it were not for him, perhaps she would be living a peaceful life with Yin Dan and Yu Er right now. By the way, there's something I forgot to tell you. His eyes narrowed slightly, shooting out a cunning and sinister light. Your husband, Yin Dan, was killed by Dong Wang Tai. He sent someone to kill Yin Dan. What? Yin Dan is dead? He's the son of the Mo family. I know how powerful he is. How could he be killed so easily? It must be a rumor. Concubine Yin was stunned, as if she had been struck by lightning. She looked at Dustless in a daze. But this is the unchangeable truth. Dustless nodded slowly and admitted. The person who killed Yin Dan was naturally Dustless. However, due to the needs of the plot, Dustless decisively pushed all the blame to Xing Hun and Dong Wang Tai. Anyway, no one saw it at that time. It was a good opportunity to arouse concubine Yan's hatred towards the school of Enyang. She could not wait to tear Dong Wang Tai into pieces. This way, concubine Yin would stand firmly on Dustless's side. I saw it with my own eyes. Dustless's face was filled with grief. He said in a sorrowful tone, Hero Yin was ambushed by Xing Hun that day. Although he was severely injured and left with a fatal injury, he still refused to bow down to Xing Hun. In order to cover the retreat of the Mo family, he died in the battle. Dustless spoke in a tearful voice. The surrounding atmosphere was affected and filled with grief. Xing Hun and Dong Wang Tai. As expected, just as Dustless had expected, concubine Yan's eyes turned cold. The rolling cold air in her eyes almost solidified into solid ice. Xing Hun, take on more of the blame for me. Why go to hell in the future? I'll burn more paper money for you. Dustless looked desolate, but he was laughing in his heart. Dustless had pushed Gao Jianli and Yin Dan's deaths onto Xing Hun. Cough, cough. Seeing that concubine Yin was furious, Dustless quickly walked over and patted her shoulder. He rolled his eyes and used the same words he used to comfort the Snow Lady. Concubine Yin, you have to be more open-minded. If you continue to give up on yourself, Xing Hun will wake up laughing in his dreams. You're right, concubine Yin nodded. She retracted the tears in her eyes. Dong Wang Tai and Xing Hun must die. Don't worry, this is inevitable. We can go back now. If we delay any longer, someone might become suspicious. Sensing that concubine Yin had changed her mind, Dustless relaxed his shoulders and said as he walked, the Black Dragon dossier that was sent out last time was one of the plans to annihilate the Mo family. Xing Hun is also one of the main characters, so we can only let him live for a few more days. I promise that after the plan is completed, I'll send that guy to heaven. That's for the best. Concubine Yin's tone was filled with a sense of belonging when she heard this. If Dustless was the type to talk, but not do anything, this little alliance would collapse sooner or later. At the same time, concubine Yin also realized that running away would not solve the problem. Only by completely eliminating the root of the problem, Dong Wang Tai, could she and Yu be saved. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.